All right. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good. A bit tired today. That's co-host and you. And there we go. Good morning. Hi, Jill. Hi, Stan. Stan, can you change your name, please? Hi, Honoree.
Always forget how to do that. My wife uses this for her work as well, so
So go ahead and write
rename.
when you hover over your name. Yeah, there you go. It just says rename. There we go. Letting everyone in. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Lisa. And everyone head over to the chat. Let's see who's there. Hi, Mickey. Nice to see you this week.
Hello.
All right. So there we go. Who else just joined us? Hi, Vera. Let's see. Vera, Odessa. I think I said hi to everyone showing up. Yep. Move this down. All right. I need to change the audio. Does someone have two audios on? How about now? Can you hear me now? I was shifting the audio. Is there no more? No, there's still a replay. Someone with two computers has to turn off the audio. If you have two computers, please check to leave another audio. All right. Okay. Did I just hear a bark, or was it my dog? I think I heard a bark back there. My dog barks sometimes, but it's not a sharp bark. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. And here we go.
Diana,
Yep.
is there a way to move the chat column away from the main frame? I could put on my other screen. Is there a way to separate the Zoom chat from its?
Yeah, what you can also do is click on it again and it'll go away. And then you'll only see it when a little line when somebody writes. So like when you click on the button and you click on it again, it just kind of collapses into it. Did that work? When you click on the chat button, clicking it one more time.
I'll click on the chat again. Okay.
There to go. Did it go away now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, when you have a small screen, having, the whole chat there all the time isn't necessary. I use it, but not like as a primary way of communication. So if you don't want to look at it all the time, I'll let you know when I put a link or something like that. And that's good. All right, you guys have been hard at work. I love it. I always ask everyone in all my classes to put in new stuff. And of course, Illustrator is one where you create things, so it makes sense. But it's the one where most people put in things more than others. So hold on, I need to bring this later down. I'm in my living room and I had my thing that separates us open up. So yeah, wonderful, good stuff you guys have been posting. Let me put in the link on the clipboard. Everyone, if you haven't gone yet to the chat, please head over and give a little hi. Meanwhile, I just gave you a link to this Padlet in case you don't have it handy. All right, so wow, I hadn't seen this one. This one came in today. I had seen everything else. Well, we had where are we? So here's the stuff that you guys had posted, all the work that we did last class. Great stuff. You guys are doing good at, wait, there's something there I hadn't seen. Oh, no, I had seen that. That's when the star was. Okay. And then some of the things you guys posted are interesting because I had, had you guys do all the different colors and was working with that. And then it's kind of fun to see all of the postings with the different patterns and different lines and so on and so forth. And remember, the homework was to make something identifiable. If you could, just didn't have to be good or bad, just something identifiable, like beyond, grids or stuff like that. And so Vera went all out. Look at all the animals she made. In fact, there's a zebra you were beginning over here too. Are you here, Vera? Yeah. So I'm not gonna show you, you're welcome to open them all up, but one thing she said is it's just with a few of the, she made this comment, just with a few, ellipses and rectangles and the joining, the path tool, the path builder, shape builder tool, sorry. She managed to do this, and then she just said she just tweaked a little bit the feet. And yeah, if you think about it, it's just the same old that we've been using. And then putting in an animal pattern really helps to recognize what it is. Otherwise, it could be any, horsey kind of thing. Same thing with a giraffe, et cetera, et cetera. So
Diana, with the,
well
with
done.
the zebra, life was good until I started the zebra and there was a red box around it. And I could not find
That's true. You
the
did have that
reason.
question. Yeah, you did have that question. I can't answer it to you in this one because you're not showing the layers. But what's
Oh.
happening is that you have this animal in a different layer. And so, and I'll demo this right now. The layers have different bounding box colors. And I think you did put the layers in another one of them here. Nope, that doesn't show it then. I think another one of you guys showed the layers. I think this one here. If you look at this, instead of, you actually made new layers. You have layer 3, layer 4. That means that this layer was probably one and 2 or something like that. But then you named the layer, so we don't see the layer anymore. So this isn't just levels on a group where you grouped things. You made an entire layer per animal. And each layer over here has a color. So the light blue color is the one that we kind of know of. These 4 colors here indicate that when you're in this layer, the bounding box is going to be red. When you're in this layer, the bounding box is going to be green. When you're in this layer, the bounding box is going to be dark blue. And this is the one that we've been using, the basic layer. Okay, so it's fine. It didn't mean anything bad. It just meant that you were working in a different layer. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the question here. She had that, and I had to search your other ones, and I found one. Fortunately, I had your layers to show you that. So if you guys want to test that out when we go up in Illustrator, you can make a few more layers and then just make a box, and you'll see, or the circle shows you the bounding box better. You'll see that the bounding box and the colors of the guides and the paths and the anchors, everything switches. It's kind of to help indicate that you're in a different layer. All right. So yeah, and the patterns really help, right? To figure out where it is. Wonderful. Stan also demonstrated the alignment to perfection here, right? Because he really made, I mean, in Illustrator, you can make things be absolutely exact. And there you go with all of his alignment. There's one only I haven't shown you guys yet. If I get around to it, it's not so important, but if not, go guys, go when you go to the alignments and you have 2 or 3 things, check out the distribute choice, which we didn't use the other day, but there's 4 kind of alignments, and then there's a distribute alignment. Anyway, if we get around to it, I'll show it to you. But wonderful, of course, very identifiable. And then Shelley was catching up with homework, being very specific. Yesterday in Photoshop, I mentioned that when you want to know how to do something, you should go to look at posts that Moni writes. I'm not sure if you have been so, so detailed in this one. In Photoshop, your posts have a lot of detail, but over here, I'm noticing that Cameron, who's not here today yet, has a lot of detail. But I also wanted to say that Rachel's also someone who always makes a really good job of noting things down. And I really appreciate that, because if someone forgets something or how to do something, if you come in here, when you have someone like Rachel or Moni in your class, you can just go and look at their posts, and then you'll remember how to do it without having to watch the whole recording. So very nice. And over here, you just put in an example. Shelly, not Rachel. What did I say? Rachel a few times. I'm sleepy. Here you have actual details of each one of the different examples and description of how to do it. I think I was looking on the side when I said, and then here we go. Same here. She was catching up on work done. And then she was putting something that's identifiable over here. So definitely identifiable, and definitely a variety of stars and stuff like she hadn't posted before. So she was catching up. And then this one you just posted today, Henri, and I hadn't looked at it. So nice. All right. Okay, now I'm curious. I'm seeing, so the outer edge of this, how did you do it? It's not completely exact, so I'm curious. Or was it like something that you repeated around and around and around and then covered it? Are you there, Honorine? Yeah.
I tried so the polygon, the star,
Uh-huh.
and then I tried doing a white one over with like a different spoke pattern, and
Oh,
then but it wasn't like getting consistent. So
okay.
I tried doing that in the class, like when I had like the layers on top of each other, like all of the
Yeah.
stars on top of each other, but it just wasn't aligning. And I was actually gonna ask that today. Like, let's
Mhm.
say let's just say I wanted a star with, let's say, 6 points, right? And then maybe I want another star on top of it with 8 points to make it kind of like
Mhm.
alternate the points. Is there an efficient way?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Like, what's an efficient way to? I just couldn't get it.
Well, here's the thing about these things, that the only way you can do what you can do when you make all these different stars is either visually center them when you get the pink lines that telling you they're centered, or selecting the two stars and then doing alignment to them to get them centered. And then maybe see this one here, if you're trying maybe, whoops, if you're maybe trying to get these stars to fit right into there,
Yeah.
right there. When you start twirling over to the right, this one will fit better, this one will fit better, this one will fit better. And then this one will be in the air, right? Because it's a different number of stars. And so you really can't, with a different number of stars,
Okay.
fit. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you'll try to make 2 or 3 will fit, and then as you keep moving around, it just won't fit anymore. So yeah, you kind of have to go with the fact that it'll be uneven.
Some of
Just
them mathematically just don't fit.
mathematically, yeah, if you look at this one, sometimes they're on the right side and then they're on the left side, and they're all well centered. Unless
Yeah.
they're identical, like these two, you can't really get that because there's 3 to 6, right?
Yeah. So that's
You
what I was trying to do, and I was struggling.
Okay. And then, no, I mean, I'm stopped to ask, because when someone tries, this is what I was saying, I'd like to know not only your good stuff, your bad stuff, your questions, because then when I see you're trying something really different, I want to make sure that I can give you a hand and seeing, like,
Mm.
whenever you made these dips, I'm seeing that here it's not gone, here it's a bit inconsistent, and here too. And I'm not saying this as a criticism, but as a, okay, if there's anything, if you want to like put in this, open up the file, share the file or something like that, and we can, kind of
Okay.
take it apart a little bit, then we can maybe try to see if there's anything else we can do just to make it a bit more consistent. And
Yeah.
sometimes the solution is simply to unite that bottom piece and then choose a part that is consistent, like this half, for example, and then slice the rest away and then flip it and then just remake it, so there's just different tricks
Sure.
that you can use. But anyway, thanks you guys for posting all the stuff you're playing around with. When you have stuff that you have questions about, like Vera, or I'm noticing something here, that's the best thing you can do, so that I can actually then help you when we get going. Now, a couple of people joined while I was doing this. So let me see, here you go. Hi, Liliana. And
So Deanna, sorry to ask such a basic question, but when I open up with 4 artboards, everything's going on the same, inside the same file, because when I was working on the one animal, I see the layers or what I did with the other animals, and it's all in one, it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
So
this
if I
takes
want a
little bit-
private giraffe, so I would only do that and not have any other artboards open, is that what I do?
So here's the thing, it's interesting because when Saul started taking these classes, his layers were a little bit confusing like that. And now when you look at his work, he's got it pretty handled. So maybe not this one. 'Cause, by the way, this is a logo that Saul was working on. I was trying to understand what it says. So if you're there, oh, it's like, oh, New York City, DNYK. So I was looking at it before and I couldn't figure it out. And now I see that it's backwards, New York City, DNYK jeans. I didn't see the other day. I was like, I'm gonna ask him what he wrote in there. I see you put it in backwards. Okay, but I'm looking to one that you posted a while ago, towards the very beginning. I might just have to make the example. Hold on. Well, I don't see it. It's one that Saul had posted. It had different grouped up animals. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I think I can open, I think this one had more. I think this one here had a couple of artboards. So I'm going to give you this example because it's a very important, it's a great question. So here I have 4 artboards, right? And you guys don't have to necessarily open this, just watch because this isn't even the one where I did all of the work. I really did it on the other computer. But here I have, if I look at my layers, one layer with a bunch of elements. So it kind of seems like it makes sense. So you'd think that if I go to the next, let me move this over and keep my layers open. If I make something over here, I'm gonna give it, you know what, actually, so that we can distinguish the thing, I'm gonna make it a different shape. Here, let me make it a star, so it's very clear. So here I'm making a star that's red. So now we can easily see over there that this is a star, but it's in a different artboard, yet it's on the same layer. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make an oval over here, make it green. Okay, again, it's on another artboard, but it's on the same layer. So for the most part, you can have tons of artboards and have everything be on the same layer, which is rather typical. We don't normally use different layers. If all of this is part of the same project, you kind of stay on the same layer. So say that I'm just making for 4 different products for the same company, then I might have one layer for one product, which happens to also be one artboard, and another layer for another product, which happens to be another artboard, in which case I need to separate them. But for the most part, what you do is you group things. So if this is an element that I want to keep on one, I will just go, click from here to here and group them. And then I'll click, if there's many elements, and then this one, and I'll call them names. So say this one is grid, and this one is star, and this one is ball, whatever, right? So you're in one layer, but you have different groups. And so if I have another, another element that I make here, these 2 get grouped, right? And so I'm sorry, this is balls, whatever. Okay. And then this is one element only. So that is all on the same layer. And actually I haven't named my layer. So if I were to suddenly make there's a reason where I want another layer, and that could be, that's this example I was trying to show for a second there.
This meeting is being recorded.
Chila turn the sound off on your second one. Okay, so, oh, Chyla's saying my emails are wrong. Okay, I'll check on that for a second. Let me finish with this example. So say that now I want to make and each layer a different product. So say that this is newsletter, this is business card, this is letterhead for the same company. This is a postcard, for example, for the same company. I want to have one document, but I want different information in each one. One option would be to make another layer. And if I do that and I go down here in the layers panel and click on this plus sign, I've actually made a whole nother layer. Then it's coincidental that I'm going to put that stuff over here in this one. So say that I now make and choose an ellipsis and whatever, yellow color. See how now that layer 2 has a little red line in front of it, and look at the bounding box is blue versus the other bounding box. Sorry, these are blue versus this one is red. All these have blue bounding boxes. They're all on one layer. This one is on a different layer. Now, for better or for worse, the danger of doing this is that now I might go, oh, this looks really good under that star, and I want to work with that. And it turns out that even though they look the same, they're on a different layer. So this ellipse is on one layer, these stars on a different layer, right? And so then if I try to put the ellipse under the star, I have to either bring the entire layer down, which we could, but it just doesn't make sense because that's not how we use layers. Then it works. But what if then later the next thing needs to be on top? So what you want to do is have elements that are going to, be somehow together, be on the same layer. So I'd go, okay, I guess this one needs to run over here and be underneath the star over here. And I'll join these two. And now notice the star, the bounding box for the ellipse that used to be red now turned blue just because I put it in this original layer again. Now I'm going to grab these two and group them. So now the only reason to have the new layer would be if I'm making something completely different. So what I'm trying to say is no matter what artboard things are on, and I'm putting them all on the same artboard, it's about groupings of different elements. And that when you do actually use a separate layer, make sure that it truly is for something that's completely different that you won't need. And in your case, you had like 4 animals, you might have had, zebra in one layer, giraffe in another layer, et cetera, et cetera. That would be a good possibility. You could have also had 4 groups of, giraffe, animals. What did you have? Snake, zebra, I think it was giraffe was the other one. So that's what's up with layers. So if you guys opened up and practiced, notice that if I put in a 3rd layer, the next bounding box will be now green because over here it shows you green. Okay, so that's the mystery of the colors. Not only the bounding box, but let me zoom in. And once I actually go to do something with these, so say that I click on these anchors now is hard to see, but they're also green. Everything over here now is green. And on the one where I had stuff in layer 2, did I end up with something in layer 2? No, layer 2 is empty right now. So if I made something in layer 2, let me give it a different color. That one now is has a green bounding box. So these two, green and red, can't combine together because they're on separate layers. You can't group them, you can't anything. So that really makes a big separation. So it's not about artboards, but you could make it be about artboards. This one is layer 1, this is layer 2, there's layer 4. You can then do that over here. But other than that, what you can't do is then have 2 elements and group them. To have this be like above or below, you really have to then put them together. All right.
Thank you. The danger is getting real creative and not labeling the layers area as you go along.
Yeah, when you start kind of working fast and doing stuff, getting things on different layers gets complicated. So I actually, for those of you who are in my InDesign class, in my digital design technique class where I show InDesign, It's exactly the same as this, and Illustrator and design have exactly the same situation with layers. There's a reason in products and InDesign that I use layers. Because I use InDesign so much, I don't create final products in Illustrator as far as layout, posters, flyers, packaging. I do that all in InDesign. But if you were to do it here in Illustrator, some people do, as long as it's one, so as long as you don't have pages, you could do it here in Illustrator. And a good use of layers in that case for me, and what I do in InDesign, is have one layer for everything that's text, another layer for the graphics, another layer for like grids and material that has to do with placement and stuff like that. So then I can lock all my text because I'm working on graphics, and I can lock all my graphics I'm working at, because you can lock an entire layer. You can do like that. And now the entire layer is, now I have this one has only one thing. So if I lock this, it's the same as locking one guy. But what if I have things that I'm done? This is perfect. The grid is, I don't want to touch it. I lock that, right? And then when I try to select it or something, it's when I try to select it or do something, it's completely unselectable. But then I go to work with these and I go, oh, these are unselectable too. Why? Because I locked the entire layer, and actually the balls, the stars, and the grid, they were all on the same layer, right? So everything is locked except for this. So instead of locking an entire layer, I'm gonna have to start locking just individual elements. Like I'm gonna lock the stars and the grid, but I don't lock the balls, and then I can still play around with the balls, but the grid is unlockable. So there's ways of doing that, that if you have an entire layer, it just encompasses too much. So anyway, just at this point, it's up to you to figure it out. When you start having layers and groups and artboards, you end up finding the way that works best for you. There isn't a right or wrong way. Just don't get confused and then say, this is going to be the eyeball of this creature. And then you're like, oh, you can't do that, because now you have to modify the entire order of all your layers. Okay. You end up having to
I have
put
a
one
question.
that and becomes part of another layer. Yeah.
So what's the difference between, first of all, when you select the little dots to make a group, is there anything you hit to group them all together, or as soon as you hit them?
No, so I did that rather fast, but you know, in the world of computers, here, let me go to the grid. Let me unlock the grid. In the world of computers, every single time that you want to add something to something else, what is it that we need to do? Do you remember? Let me go ahead and ungroup this one so that it becomes a bit easier to show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay, hold on, I just have my tools behind a lamp here that I can't see well. Okay, so if I have multiple elements and I want to select one, and this is in Photoshop and Illustrator, on the Mac, on the PC, in Excel, in whatever app in the entire world, when you want to select two things at a time, you have to go down the Shift key. Then they both stay. Remember, we did this a bunch of times. How do you select more than one? You select, hold the Shift, select, right, to get more than one. So remember that I told you over here that this is an alternate way of selecting stuff. So for example, if perchance my brown ball is underneath the orange one thing, and I want to select it, I can't. So the only way to select it would have been to come here and click on this ball to select it. Now I've selected it, see there? So if I want to select more than one, again, hold the Shift and select the other one.
How
So
do you
this
keep
is
it
an alternate
staying
way
there?
of selecting.
Is there any way to, is that all it takes, or do you, because once you click elsewhere, doesn't that deselect?
Yeah, every
How do
time
you
you
lock
select
it?
something, when you select something else, the first one deselects. So the thing that keeps the selection going is the Shift key, okay? So if I select this and I select something else, the other selection will go away. So if you, instead of selecting by watching the stuff, you use the layers, then if you click on this one, if you move to this one, the selection changed. Now I move to this one, the selection changed. So if I want to keep all three selected, I need to again hold down the Shift key and select all three. So
how did you lock it, is what I mean. How did you lock it once you selected it all? How did you keep it as a group?
I selected them all and I made, we've done grouping before. Here's the choice to group or Command G. So say I have these three and I want to group them. I can do Command G or click on the word group. Boom. Now I have made this little group of three. Okay, I'm going to call this one 3. And it's this. And now it's a group. So grouping, Command G, or if you go over here, and once it's already grouped, then the choice here becomes ungroup. Okay, so that's how you make them be in one little subset, is to group them. Okay, and if you don't give them a name, it even calls itself a group. I didn't name this group, and so it just calls itself a group. But if I want to move 3, these 6 that are not grouped individually, then I have to either select here individually and shift here individually, or click, shift, click, shift, click, shift, click. Okay, and then they are getting all selected. Plan B is, what if I want only the red one and the green one? They're not in a row. Then I have to hold down Command key for the Mac, Control key for the PC, where I just select 2 alternate ones. Shift allows me to select everything that's in between. If I click shift right now, everything in between gets selected. But if I want instead to select only one and the bottom one without the ones in between, then I need to hold down the Command key. But if you're on a PC, it's the Control key. And then I can select individual things on different places. Okay. And then I've got that, I've got that, I've got that, and I've got that selected right now from all over the place because I did it here in the layers instead of in person. Okay, so basically exactly what I taught you here about selecting there, Command, selecting here and selecting here. That same exact thing applies to these little tiny round balls. It's just a different way to select stuff, which helps in particular in this example where things are hidden. This little blue ball, the brown ball right now, is behind that. And I would not be able to select it by hand. It's unselectable, it's not there, but I can always select it right there. Okay, now if I were to try to, and let me just zoom into this because this example, if you don't have something like this, please make it. If I do select that little ball, which is hiding, and I'm like, oh great, I selected it, now I want to move it. If I try to grab it from here, oh, I grabbed orange, so I'm not moving the ball. That didn't work. So I'm going to select the ball again and I'm going to try again. Okay, I wanted to grab the ball. Oh, I can't do it because I am clicking literally on orange. So if this happens and you want to select that thing that's hiding, you need to go to that bounding box and path, to the path actually. Select this path and then you can drag it out. Okay, so select it and you can drag it wherever you want or even drag it out, right? Because once it's back there, if I just click on orange, orange is the top thing. So play on that. When you do finally see that thing that's hidden, it's the path that you need to hang on to actually move it. Okay. All right. So great questions, everyone. I hope to clarify a lot of stuff. Chila mentioned in the message, you're guessing you're an illustrator, digital design.
I was thinking it was Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So it was your mistake, not mine. Okay, good. No,
Yes.
because actually I do that sometimes. I make a mistake in that because I send the reminders to all the classes and it has happened. I think when I looked last week, I had sent for a Friday class or for a Wednesday class, I sent them, I told them, come on Monday, so I sometimes do that and I wanted to go change it, but okay. Yeah, sometimes we don't know what day it is, right? Yeah, that happens to me too. That's for sure. All right, good. Anyone else with any questions in the chat that I haven't looked at? Nope. All right, so if anyone has done the practice with layers, like you've made a few layers and you have, this is what I'd like to see. If you created some layers that are different, it would be great right now if you were to, I'm gonna go ahead and put this one back in this different layer. Let me just select this guy and drop it into that layer. Select things from 2 different layers or 3 different layers, and then show the fact that they have a different bounding box. That would be a good thing to remind yourself and to put it as a screenshot in the, to begin it as our new screenshot in the Padlet. And I think I already put the Padlet link in the chat. Let me put it in there one more time. People who just showed up don't have the entire chat. There goes the Padlet link. And yeah, so if you guys want to, especially those of you who write good explanations to explain this whole thing about the bounding box, matching the layer that things are within. And that said, yeah, it's your choice if you want to group or ungroup, or if you want to put different things in Illustrator, different layers, just make sure that they're different enough that they don't need to interact. If you have them on a different layer, they can't interact well. Okay, so wonderful. I want us to download some class files that for now we've been creating from scratch, but there's actually some class files that I had loaded in the handouts that I want you to go to. So for those of you who remember how to do it, go ahead and go sign into the handouts. And for those of you who don't remember, I will walk you through the process. Okay, so we're going to go head over to, I just want to make 100% sure that I enabled the folder today. No, don't go there yet. As I noticed as I was saying that I hadn't yet enabled the folder. Okay, for now, don't worry, I'll go over in, well, it's okay, let's do this now. Okay, I'm gonna head over to the handouts. I don't have all the files I wanted, but there's one in there that I want. So I'm gonna show you what I want us to do. And then after that, we will, when I put the other files in there, we can do it either after break or buffer next week. Okay, so this is our shared drive. So those of you who know how to get here, what I want you is to download this thing called Rocket PNG. So you would go over here and download it that way. So if you know how to do it, go for it. If you don't know how to do it, I'm going to walk you through the steps, but I'm going to do it here on this computer. I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay. Here we go. So open a browser. Right, and we're head over to sbcc.edu. So sbcc.edu. I need to change the proportions on this computer so I can see things better. All right, sbcc.edu. Then you're going to sign into the pipeline. You can go into this little P for pipeline. If you're good at typing, you can write pipeline.sbcc.edu and it takes you straight here. So you don't have to do 2 clicks, but most people prefer not to make typos. Then you're going to sign in. So for those of you who don't remember how to get to the handouts, I'm doing it step by step. Then we're going to head over, once you're inside pipeline, we're going to head over to student resources, student resources. Student resources. And then over here, we're going to Google Drive. On Google Drive. And here we are. Now, I would recommend making a bookmark to your Google Drive so that you can just kind of quickly go to Google Drive, which is what I do instead of having to go through that whole setup. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, now we go to shared drives. And that's it. Under shared drives, you should see the folders of any classes you're in. Some of you guys are in 2 or 3 of my classes. If you're only in this one, all you will see is Illustrator. Double click, and here's where we get to that rocket. Okay, click on these 3 little dots and download. All right. Cool. All right. If I left anyone behind on the process of how to get the rocket, let me know. If once you have the rocket downloaded, give me a yes. Those of you who are still attempting to download it, give me a.
Diane,
If you're
I'm
lost.
in Illustrator, but I don't see the rocket.
You're in the Illustrator shared drive and you don't see the
Uh-huh.
rocket?
Nope, I see catch up, Illustrator shortcuts.
It could be that you're in have a different alphabetical order going or something, scroll up and down, or are you looking at them like this as a name?
I switched to the icon, but I did have them by name. Oh, never mind. I think I found it.
There it is. I mean,
I
this is
still don't
my
have it.
folder, that folder, and everyone has seen the same thing, so it's not a personal thing. So if it's there, right? But yeah, sometimes it could be that, you know, you're sorting it in a different way or something, so it might not be at the top or whatever.
I
All right, so
still
give
have
me a
it,
guess
Dana.
once you have it. What?
Still don't have it.
All right, so why don't we share your screen so I can see what's happening, because can't see how it cannot be there. Let me help you try and find it. So go to shared drives. Okay, there you go. Now, if you scroll up and down, go to the R because you're in alphabetical order. Might be easier now to find the file name. So go up in the top and instead of icons, click on the little 3 lines. Not there, but right above that. Yeah, no, not there. Hold on, let me annotate it right here. Because then we can look for it by name. So that's by icons, click over here. Yeah. Okay, and now let's see if you go up and down, if you can find the R for rocket. The file is called rocket.png. There it is at the bottom.
Okay, thank you so much.
There. Sometimes it's easier to see the image, but if, like in your case, the image was still redrawing itself, then you can just switch to file name and then you'll see it by file name. Because did you notice how hers wasn't coming up yet? She didn't have the illustration. Sometimes when you're on Zoom and you're in so much is happening, your computer takes some time to redraw. So then that preview mode of icons actually doesn't help you because you can't see anything at all. Then switch to the names and then you can switch back when the computer has a bit more time to think. It'll redraw all those things. All right. Yes, Jill.
So I downloaded the Rocket, but how do I get it into Illustrator? Because
All I asked is to download. Don't ask things beyond that because I'm not talking about things beyond that. Give me a sec. Right now, I want a yes for downloaded. Download it. Anyone else need a hand with that?
I just wanted to say I'm on VDI, so I downloaded it. It's on a different spot than the VDI, right?
Oh, you didn't download inside of VDI. I see what you're saying.
I don't know how
Yes.
to do that.
Okay, so if you downloaded it through VDI, now you need to put it back in your, okay. Can you share your screen? I thought you meant how to put it in Illustrator. I'm like, oh, I can show you, but how to actually get the file into VDI, I can help you with that. Yeah, so share your
Okay.
screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so one option would have been, and I should have said it for you VDI people, is to download it inside of a browser inside of VDI, right? But in this case, if you went and downloaded it onto your computer, then plan B is go over here. I see it. I see that you have, let me put my browser. In this tab, you have the shared drive. So go to this tab, click on there.
Let's
Way
see.
up.
Oh, here?
Up. Look on your Illustrator drive. Yeah. And now go to my drive where your stuff is. Right. And then go into wherever you have Illustrator files there.
This one?
Okay. So now this is your drive. This is your Google Drive now. Okay. So now go grab this one that you downloaded. And
Okay.
just drag it in. Drag it in here. Okay. So now what you have is
Oh,
Rocket is in my drive, right? So now when you go inside of VDI, so go back to VDI. Now you go and search over here on the left side, go to your Illustrator shared drive right here.
oh,
And there's your Rocket inside of that mode. Next time, otherwise you can just download it within VDI, but there you go. Now you have it.
okay.
Okay, cool. Looks like I have a yes from everyone. Clear your feedbacks. All right, so God, I'm gonna stay in this computer here. It's easier for me to work on this one, although I have Illustrator 2023 on this one versus on the other computer I have 2024. If anything comes up that's different that I'm showing you and it shows up a bit differently, tell me and I will go and see what it's like in 2024. It's just that the way things are working, it's easier for me to be on this computer, although hold on. I'm having, is that? I'm gonna put Safari to make things work a little bit better over here. All right. So I am sharing now this screen. All right. So we're not gonna be in, even though at first we're gonna do some more colors practice, let's go ahead and open another file because my other file that I worked on is on the other computer and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and make a file new. So for those of you like shortcuts, Command or Control N at this point will give you a new file. If not, go up to File, New, and this window will pop in. And let's good old boring. Let's go with print inches. And if you already had this done, it's already there for artboards, and we're going to go with 5 by 5 again. And then, so 5 by 5, 4 inches, create, which you might have had already that as your recent, since that's the last one that we actually opened. Okay. So, hold on, I've got a warning here on my computer. Sometimes this one gets overheated, overworked, in which case I go to the next one. This is an old computer. I'm working on this computer that I'm working on right now is a 2015, and yet here we go. It's still working with Illustrator, but not sometimes it doesn't doesn't want to work. It's tired. All right, so let's head over to our good old rectangles. And remember I told you that there's another alignment that I hadn't shown you yet. Just for the quick fun of it, I'll show you the other alignment issue, because since I want us to make a bit of a grid again, but not as strict as yesterday, we can go ahead and just like make a rectangle that's kind of longish and give it some fill. I don't care what right now, just so that you see it. Let's go ahead and leave this a little thin stroke on this one for now. So instead of a 1-point stroke, you can either go down with this arrow key to go smaller, or you can click on this arrow and go to the smallest, thinnest stroke, which is 0.25. You can leave it black. You'll see later a bit why I want to leave a stroke this time, but just make it really tiny so it's just there but not very visible. Right. So now you have one of these guys. Let's just copy paste instead of like the whole thing I've taught you how to pull out and get a double and put it the right way. That's great. That's a good way. But say that you got a copy paste. So you did a copy paste. Then the other one appears in the middle of your screen, in this case, in the middle of all the 4 artboards. So now let's copy and paste, or we've already copied. So then paste and paste one more time. I just pasted 2 times, but those pastes automatically appear in the middle. And what happens is that I have 2, but one is exactly on top of the other, right? That's just to show you what happens with a paste. So I'm going to undo that again. And once you paste, if you paste 1, paste 2, paste 3, I've done V, V, V. Now I have 3 of these in here, because that's the default of pasting. It pastes exactly where into the center. Okay. So wherever center it pasted onto, it 2 or 3 will appear in the same spot. Anyway, let's have 3 of them. So I deleted 1. And over here, I have kind of, I'm not going to use right now. Let me zoom in a bit more. I'm not going to use the pink lines that we used last week for aligning. For some people, that's awesome. For some people, it's not. Here, let's go ahead and let me show you something else. If I select, remember that if you select 2 or 3 over here, I taught you how you can align them in quite a few different ways, but there's more to that. On these 3 little dots right here, I have more choices for alignment. Click on those 3 little dots. So these little dots are always more choices. I'm gonna use a few more of these alignment choices. And when I do that, the one that we've been using was align objects, which is that first layer. But then down here we have distribute objects or distribute spacing. Okay, so it's a little bit different than align. I tend to use align objects or spacing, not so much distribute objects, but they all matter in one way or another. So right now, remember how this last week we had it here where we said we aligned to artboard or we aligned to selection. So when I open this much, the automatic choice is aligned to artboard. So if I select this, now I'm going to select all 3. Okay, so go over here and do click, shift, click, one way or another, drag them, select 3, and don't have them, make sure not to have them in any good order, to not have the right space between them. Okay, just have them in a way that's messy, because I'm going to show you what that does. So I'm going to select all 3. Actually, I'm going to put space in between all of them. Don't have them overlapping. Okay. So many things that I'm telling you to do. Just have 3 shapes that are not overlapping. That's all you need. I'm going to select all 3 now. Head over here to the distribute spacing. And now I can ask it to distribute spacing evenly in vertical mode. Boom. And mine wasn't so different, I guess. So let me make mine a bit more. Why do I keep doing that? Let me make it a little bit more different. Let me put it over there. So between these 3, I have a tiny space and a big space. So if I go over here to distribute spacing, boom, it gave me that exact distance between each one of those. And now I'm going to also say distribute vertical spacing. When I do that, you're like, oh, that didn't work, did it? And so the problem is that it doesn't work like alignment. It works just in the separate spacing. And actually, what it did is it's trying to give you this much space between that much space and that much space, and it can't because the shapes don't work. So the distributive spacing, you need to be very clear what you're asking it to do. I wanted it to make this and this the same, and it worked. But this one doesn't. So for that one, you need to actually have a reason to have a vertical spacing request. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and just quickly copy and paste and make that shape, make them a little bit skinnier in a different color. Okay, so now I'm going to have that one. And now, yes, I'm going to use my option to put another one there and put another one there. That. So then if I select these 3, I'm going to go over here and I say distribute horizontal up. Horizontal distribute space. Oh, it all remembered just one. So then if I want to, if they are exactly the same shapes, now I need to align them like row line top, for example. And then I combine that with that or that with that. Okay. If I want to vertical distribute center, then I use those. So anyway, play around with those and have some fun. Just wanted to show you different options. That said, I only want 3 boxes for what we're going to do next. And you can use the green, the pink lines, which is fine. I kind of like that. But in case you don't have that done, I don't need it to be perfect. I don't care for this example anymore if it's a perfect grid or not. Just practice that which we've been doing. If you want to practice what we've been doing, you might want to do that yourselves. But other than that, it doesn't matter. Because now we're talking color. All right. So now, once you have 3 shapes and you've played around with that, I'll let you to play around with all the different alignments and distributions on your own and find out other stuff they can do. We're back to fills. Last week I told you I was gonna spend more time on color. And the first thing I want to show us about color is gradients. I showed you a bunch of stuff last week, but I didn't show you gradients. So first of all, I'm gonna choose to fill these three with the existing gradients. So one of them is white to black. The next one is yellowish to orangish. And the green one is fading sky, it's called. All right. So once you have one of each of your elements, and you filled one with each one. And by the way, let me just tell you, there's one more, but I'm not going to use it right now, which is this one. You'll see why later, but for now, I know that it's there. It's not that I'm ignoring you, but don't use that one. Okay, so you have these three. Once you have these three, give me a yes. If there's anything I've been doing that you have questions about, ask me now. Other than that, give me a good old yes. All right. So a few of you guys last week found other colors, made new gradients or uploaded metallic gradients or stuff, and you notice that they're not here. That's why I wanted us to make a new file, because those colors that you uploaded in the other file stayed with the other file. In fact, if you do have the other file there, go back to it. And I do have them loaded in this one. These are all the patterns and gradients and colors that I made and colors that the computer made. And all these, remember all these different versions of colors we got from like romantic colors and poster colors and the libraries down here. Remember that? So we're going to talk a little bit later of how to transfer those. What would you do if you want something you've downloaded to put it in here? All of that we're going to talk in a second. I'm having an issue with, you know what, guys? I'm having an issue with this computer that I'm going to have to switch to the other computer, unfortunately. It's telling me that it's overloading and the internet's going to freeze. In fact, you might have seen me freeze a bit. So let me actually stop my share. I'm going to go ahead and share from this one. Go back here, and I'm going to very quickly make my boards. Create. And then I'm just going to make my 3 boxes. Okay. I'm going to make a second one, make a third one. Okay, this is when I hate this computer. I don't have the mouse installed on. I should just connect it to this one. And it's much harder for me to handle this with my fingers. Okay, for those of you who are working on a touchpad, I personally absolutely hate working on a touchpad in any of these Adobe programs. I recommend, if you guys are taking this seriously, let me stop my share for a second because I do want to talk about this. If you have a mouse, connect a mouse. Right now I have it connected to my other computer. Or the best case for people who are already taking classes like Illustrator is to get yourself a, in this case, this is called a Wacom pen, or Wacom tablet, or Wacom. And it's a graphic pen, a graphic stylus. And when I use this on a pad that you buy for it, it comes, well, I can't pick it up or it's going to disconnect. Here, let me disconnect. So here's a little pad this comes with. And as I draw around like this, that's a mouse. Okay. And this follows my mouse. Something like this one costs about $70, $75 or something like that. There's many brands now, there's cheaper ones, but these are like the, you know, the standard, like say Adobe is the standards for design Wacom. But there's many of these that you can use. And then you have real control, because when we start hand drawing right now, we've been using shapes and stuff that we haven't made. But if you really want to start creating stuff on your own, you're way better off getting yourself one of these. I can tell you a bit more about that later, but for now, all I'm gonna do is I'm going to switch my mouse, but I'll do that over break. So for now, I'm still stuck with my fingers. Okay. So for now, that's all I have is my little computer with my fingers. We're gonna deal with that. All right. My other computer is just froze. Can you guys still hear me? Am I active? Am I frozen?
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, I'm not frozen. My other computer froze, but I just needed to hear. If you guys can still hear me, then that's fine. You're hearing me through the other one. Okay, which is why I moved to this one. The other one was getting overworked. Okay, so now that we have all three of these in here, first thing I want to show you is that this one is, remember it said white to black? This one looks like it's blue to white, but it's not. This is white to blue to transparency. Let's do the good old view and say show transparency grid, and then you'll see what I mean. This one is filled truly with white to black, orange to yellow, but this one is filled with blue to transparent, okay? Which is why I wanted you to have a little hairline on it so that you could see it disappearing. If I were to like take the hairline completely off of this one, the stroke off of this one, then when you look at this, there's just nothing there. It fades into nothingness, okay? Now, that's hard to see when you don't do the view show transparency because it's going into white. So if I put it over here, now you can see that I mean it, right? Like it really is going from blue to transparent, and there's nothing there on this side. So we're gonna, those are the three stock sets that come with the basic default palette. So now we're gonna want to work on how do we manage them, how do we modify them, how do we create our own. So let's head over to the next kind. Let's go ahead and grab this colorful one and duplicate it with a copy or with a paste or with the option, and let's make it bigger. Now we're going to start investigating how this one is made and how we can adapt it and modify it and what we can do about it. There's a couple different gradient tools, and then there's different ways of doing this. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of how this works. And okay, so over here, if I look at the fill and I click on fill this time, instead of just looking at the palettes that are here, notice that down here I have a thing that says gradient options. So I'm going to click on gradient options right there. So I just went to the fill. Down there, there's gradient options. There's another place, if I click over, and I just kind of clicked away from it. Over here, where it says appearance, there's also three little dots at the bottom of appearance. Just like before, if I wanted to see more of everything, you can see more things about the appearance panel. And right underneath that, you see the gradient panel. If some of you guys don't see these panels, it might be that you have a different workspace, let me know. But other than that, you should be seeing the gradient panel on top of all the other panels. So what it's showing me, let's just use the panel first to its full extent. What it's showing me first is that this thing here is a linear gradient. There's three types. I'm going to go to the second type, and that's a radial gradient. So that's the one that I showed you before, the black and white that was a round circle. That's kind of what it's doing. And then there's this one, which is the freeform gradient. Now, the freeform gradient, we're going to play with it at the end. First, let's learn the other two, and then we'll come to this one. So for now, abandon that because it truly is completely different than the other one. And let's go back to the linear gradient. I guess because I've been clicking on it back and forth, this thing came up. But if that line that you had didn't come up, you can click on edit gradient, and then that comes up. Another way to get all of this to come up, I'm going to click away, is if I select my shape and I click over here on this tool, which is the gradient tool. So you'll see this little box that's filled with a gradient, and then there you have that box again. So I just showed you many different ways of getting to the same exact point. Now, why did I do that? and I'm going to begin to show you how we work with this. First of all, notice these little round dots have color in them. And then there's some little diamonds in the middle, okay? So, sorry, I'm just gonna, sorry, gradient tool. So when I click on this color, oh, and there's a color here and a color there. These things are called color stops. This gradient isn't a gradient from red to yellow. In fact, it has a couple of other colors in here. Let me go ahead and grab this middle one by clicking on it and double clicking on it, sorry. And let's say that I want this to be a different color. I can go ahead and play around here and make this be green, something totally out of the norm. And I've changed the gradient to still go from yellow, but now it's going through green. And it's going through murky grayish stuff is happening here because that's what happens when you mix these colors and you're down to orange. So now let me, I'm going to leave that orange one, but I'm going to go to this one, double click on that one, and I'm going to make this one be blue. So now I've made my gradients change just because I changed this color spots. Now, had I done this instead of that, had I done it over here and I click on edit gradient, same thing is happening. There's no difference. Now, there's a couple of other tools I can use. At the bottom of gradient, I kind of like these tools a little bit better. And the old fashioned tools were only this way. So if that worked, great. Now I'm going to head over here to where it says gradient and click on these three little dots. Because over here, this tool, I think, shows it a teensy weensy bit better. Where I have the different color spots. That's what they are. It's all the same, whichever one you're accustomed to, but here you have more choices. Say that I want to change the first one now, that one. Now I'm going to change it from here. I'm going to click on this one at this point, and when I double click on that, then I will make this one be bright pink. Okay, so same thing here is there. It doesn't make a difference, but sometimes this tool is more convenient. Someone that was more convenient. It doesn't matter. Basically, it's a little version of that line. Okay, now that's not all. Oh, see how little tiny bit of pink I have in here? A lot of green, tiny bit of orange, a lot of blue, a little tiny bit of blue. You have to be careful. I put pink next to green and look at this murky gray I get in the middle, but that's a whole nother issue. Right now, I want to show you two features. In between these two color spots, there's that little tiny diamond. If I grab that diamond and I move it to the right or to the left, I am changing how much of that color, how long it takes for that color to merge, if you want, melt into the other one. Right now, when I put this one in the middle, I have a bit of green, a bit of pink, and like a whole bunch of this grayness. When I move it to the left, there's less pink and much more green. So this diamond is a slider in between the two colors. Now this one is the diamond between the orange and the green one, and so on and so forth, right? So now some colors, especially the dark ones, merge so much faster into the lighter colors like the blue that it makes almost like a straight line. All right, good, you can do that. Another thing you can do is actually move the color spots themselves. So what if I want to move my color spot over and have a ton of pink and then a little bit of the green? And I'm going to move this over and I want a bigger orange. I want that. Okay, I'm just moving them all over the place. The transition between them or the actual color spot itself. In fact, I can grab this color spot and bring it in, and then this is solid and it doesn't start to gradate into the color until it starts this place. Anyway, just that's one too many. I'm going to still put it there. All right, but now that if that's working and I have these, I purposely chose bizarre colors. If you didn't and you're making a pretty gradient, it's harder to tell how they merge into transition into each other. So that's why I chose colors that are purposely a mess. Because in the original one, you can move things around between orange and yellow, and doesn't look like you're moving too much. So I'm gonna let people play with this while I answer some questions, but for now, what if I don't want one of these colors? What if I decide that I didn't want the orange? Well, I can select that spot. Make sure you're not selecting the box, you're selecting this little spot here. And then you can just hit the delete key. And now it went away. And now I have a teal that wasn't even there. And it's just because these two colors are merging differently. So now I'm left with only 4 color spots. Over here, I could do the same thing. What if I want to get rid of the blue, the blue one now, or the green one now? Another way to get rid of them, you select it. Here, there's a tiny little trash can. Click on that green one and click on that little trash can. That's another way to do it. Now we're left with, and I'm moving the little diamonds over here. I'm left with blue to red and red to blue. And the third way to get rid of stuff is to actually grab it and just drag it out. Okay, what I did is I pulled down. Just pull it out of the thing. That's it. So, and over here too. I can go over here, grab this one and just pull down. Boom, it's gone. And I'm left with a gradient that's just from pink to orange, or to bright red. And like, wait, what happened to all the colors that I wanted? I want more. So how do I put more? And that's where here, it's a bit harder to put more. So that's when here, here, this one's a bit easier because putting more in here is a matter, it's just double clicking. Actually, can you double click on this one here too now? Versus here, you can just double click here and you've added a new one. Now, I think I saw the plus sign appear over here too earlier. Oh yeah, if I put the tip of my mouse right there and I click one time, I'll make another color spot. Now these color spots now have the same color of the place I put it in. So it'd be up to me to now double click on it and make this one be another color and then double click on this first one this time and make this one be a blue color. Okay, so I've shown you a whole bunch of stuff. Now, questions. Keep playing around, make some pretty ones this time. Because right now I was just going for clashing colors so that you could see the tools. All right. Eliza.
Hi, when I select the gradient tool, that line that shows in the middle of the square doesn't show up for me.
When you select this gradient tool from here,
Yeah,
okay.
can I share my screen?
Sure, but let me just say that if that doesn't show up, you always have these, right? So you can go from there. But yeah, I'm gonna stop my share. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so here I am. The square is selected, right?
Yeah.
And I click on the gradient and that line doesn't show up.
Go down to the tools on the far right and see if you turn them on from there, then maybe they'll start coming up. So go to the appearance tool, go down to the right, appearance, yeah. And then under gradient, one down, gradient, there, click on those 3. Yeah, and here's the tools. These have been around forever and they're never not there.
So then, okay, so but it's funny how the line, even clicking on this bar here, that line still doesn't show up, right? On here.
No, it won't. Yeah, and for eons, that line never showed up. This was all we had. That line that's showing up is new. I'm not sure why it's not showing up for you. I'd have to do a search to find out. But yeah,
Okay.
use it from here. Like you just added another spot. So now you have 2 in a row. Like you put in a yellow one on top of a yellow one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I can
Now
just
double
come
click
and
that one.
delete.
Delete one or double click to give it a new color.
Okay,
and
all
then
right.
new color. So you just handle it from that one. There must be a reason, some like preference, but that said, this is how we've handled it for eons. So it's just as good. It's just not on top of it. So it feels maybe a little bit less handy, but
Okay, so now, for
it doesn't
instance,
give you anything more or less. It just replicates it. So
all right, so now for instance, let me just, if I double click on this and try to add a blue,
yeah, click on there. There.
W-
Good.
All right. What
Yeah.
else do I have to do?
Now, no. Just click away and go grab another color and give it a different color. Oh,
It's
You're
not
bringing it-
changing, right?
yeah. It's like your gradient tools aren't working.
I wonder if it's set up in a way, in a weird way, maybe that.
Have you, did you just open Illustrator for the first time or is this new to you?
No.
Meaning, is Illustrator something you've used for a long time and
Oh,
you
no.
just installed it right before
Yeah,
this? class?
correct.
Okay, so
That's
it's not
correct.
like it can have some weird stuff. I don't know, I'm gonna have to do a little quick Google search. I have no idea.
Okay,
what the
and I
gradient-
can search too, just to see if I find out.
Illustrator gradient tool not showing up or not working or something like that. Yeah, because
Okay.
if it shows there and that is different, like you, let me for a second, no, it's okay. You clicked on it, chose the color and it's not changing. So
Okay.
looking at, there might be other options of things that might be happening. You might be in, no, you're not in isolation mode. No, I don't see any reason right now as far as how it's set up for why it wouldn't be working. Go to the layers, show me your layers for a second, up at the top.
Okay, hold on.
Open that layer up a little bit. Like, no, click on that little arrow next, no, say cancel. When I say open the layer, I want to see the object in it. So that little arrow next to it, there we go. It's just a basic rectangle. There's nothing else there and it's selected. So I just want to make sure the other box that you had there might not be showing the tools and not this one, but no. What's bugging me a little bit is that by moving things around to see, you've lost all your tools on the left side. So I recommend people always to keep the program in the middle and then just
Okay,
around with your toolbar. Because I'm trying to go to the gradient tool on the other side and it's not there. So can you drag, not that, but your actual program? Because I can't see the tools on the left side. Your tools are gone. No, left, the other side. There we go. I couldn't see those tools.
got it.
So now, can you click and hold on that gradient tool for a second? So now do me a favor. One more thing you can do with that. Now you've got that gradient tool. Go to your gradient with your mouse. Show me your mouse. Okay. Now go to the end of the gradient and click and drag to the right. Click and drag. Like, yeah, no. It's like it's working because it's doing stuff, but it's not showing you the actual tool because that's something I was going to show.
Got
But
it.
by now it's not. It's like it's doing what it should do as if this thing was there, but it's not there.
Right.
Listen to this, just in case, close all these files. You have a ton of files open, close all the files, close Illustrator, open it again, because after all, this is all we have in the file. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
And then
Try
see if
again
that-
from zero.
see
Okay.
if that perchance helps. And if not, you're on a Mac, go ahead and close Illustrator. You can reset your Illustrator's settings. So go ahead and close this now. Go ahead and close everything. Well, close your files first. Don't just close the program. You have
Okay,
a ton
hold
of
on.
titles. So
You mean like this?
untitled, yeah, click on that and say don't save. Because over there it says recovered, which kind of means like you had a crash and that things weren't.
Oh, okay. So I
So-
think they all say recovered because I leave the program open and then when I come back to it the next day, it's frozen. So I have to force
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah, so that's what I'm worrying, that something is wrong because of that. First of all, don't do that. Save and close, especially if it's untitled. Save and
Close.
close your files before you go. Like right now, you're about to close the program. And I said, wait, don't. First save. So that doesn't happen. But also, technically, if your computer's working well and you leave things open, when you open up Illustrator again, they shouldn't have crashed. So this means that your program crashed in between. If it says recovered, it's because it's crashed and it did a forced save. So
Mhm.
anyway, go ahead and close them now, and so that I can show you what I want you to do.
Close all of them
Yes. Mhm.
and
There you
don't
have
save.
it. No, well, no, you don't want to lose this, so save it. You don't want to lose all, I mean.
Yeah,
unless you-
yeah. No, totally.
but you did. Just call it 1, 2, 3. I don't mind right now. Just say okay. But later you want to change those those
Okay, let me
names.
just,
For now, just save. So say okay. Don't
hold on.
change names or anything. Just say okay.
Yeah.
Then close the next one and do the same thing. Close on that and say save, and then just say save and say okay. So guys, you should never leave things the fact that they're all untitled is because they never got even saved even one time.
Right, okay,
computer,
so
when
I am
Go close this one
saving
too. Close everything.
wrong. I think
Oh.
I'm saving incorrectly.
Well, right now they're all saving into your documents folder. Just say yes, because these we know are good. And then what's happening is that, and close this one. Nice, good stuff you're trying. Oh, you did homework, but you didn't post it. Look at that, good stuff.
I'm gonna post it.
Okay,
Okay,
Now-
so,
close Illustrator, in which that's not how you close Illustrator. How you close Illustrator or any program on a Mac, you go up to the name on top of there, click on that and say quit. Okay, now you did a real close, a correct close. Even before, if you were closing from the little red button, you
mhm,
weren't even closing it. So all this time your Illustrator has been open since the day you will open it.
started.
That's what you've been doing. So be careful because that makes it. No, wait, I didn't want you to open it yet. Oh, is that how you open it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the correct way, but it's
Okay,
not
then-
saved on my bar.
Okay, so then if you do that, then I can't help you do what I'm gonna do. So don't do that. And again, don't close from there.
Oh, okay,
You
sorry,
need to
sorry.
take the Mac. You guys need to take the Mac classes. If you have Macs and you don't work them well, I'm like,
Okay,
classes. But never mind. Remember to always quit a program and not to that. Okay.
okay.
So now, since you don't have the icon there, go and open a Finder window. Do you know how to open a Finder window? Looks to me you have a lot of work on your computer that you did a new folder, not a new Finder window. Go back and say new Finder window. Go to your applications on the left side. And then Adobe Illustrator, double click in there, double click to open it, and now grab the first icon and drag it to your dock. Just drag it down, 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 and down, down, down. Keep going to your dock. Go. Yeah, one more. It's almost, go on to the left side of that line, like left, there. There you go. Okay.
Fine.
Now, the reason I went to that, because I'm going to show you that to open, now you can close that window. Don't click on that yet. That's how you would open it, by clicking on that. Okay, where's your mouse? Put it down on your icon. Okay, and now hold down on your keyboards and hold down Shift, Control, Option, Command. Click all four.
Shift, Command, Shift, Control,
Option, Command.
Option, Command.
Yeah, hold it down and now click on AI. And now say open. Keep those things held down. And it kind of is forcing it to reset all the settings. All right, so hopefully I'm gonna let you go when it opens.
Okay,
See, it's time the gradient tools show up. Guys, close your applications. These are big applications that take a lot of computer space just by looking at your screen. And I'm not trying to make Elisa feel wrong, just letting you all know that right now I could see she has a ton of stuff on her desktop. That slows down your computer. There's a lot of things that are going on. If you have had a Mac up forever and you're not 100% know how to handle it, please take one of my Mac classes. You will be amazed at how much better your computer will work once you know how to do it. Okay. And Vera.
Okay, let me share my screen first.
Yeah.
Because I got a teeny tiny bar that when I go to my, first of all, I have to keep going back to get my workspace back.
You have the bar, but way up at the top. It's like you have your bar way, like I'm seeing it floating. Way
I
up.
have a bar here, but I don't know why that happened. How do I get a bar that looks like yours?
Go ahead and just delete this whole rectangle and make a new one, because right now I would have to show you exactly where to click. Just go to the regular, yeah, you need to move your Illustrator over so that your tools are not under the, yeah, there we go. Okay, select this thing and get rid of it. Okay, now make a new one and fill it with orange. And this time, I could show you where to click, but it's just,
Oh,
Yeah, you need to move your Illustrator over a little bit because your tools are hiding under your dock and that's not, or move it. You need, or you hide your tool, your dock. I can help you do that later, but for now, yeah, those, you're wanting to grab your tools each time from. Okay, fill it with
it's
the,
my rectangle.
fill it with the regular gradient.
It didn't react.
No, but fill it with the gradient. The gradient is down there at the bottom. You didn't fill it with the gradient yet. Not there, but you need to make, yeah, fill it with a gradient. That's not filled with a gradient, is it? It's filled with orange. Oh, no, you do have a gradient going.
Gradient there, but it didn't,
Yeah, so go ahead and, this computer's, I'm having issues with this computer where I can see things big. Let me see if it reacts right. I had to, my computer, my Illustrator crashed. Let me see if I can, I'm gonna, don't move your mouse and I'm gonna request remote control. Can you say yes to that? Okay, don't move your mouse anymore. And let me see if I can do something about this. So the tools for your gradient tools that were hanging out there. Let me reset them. No. Let me reset. It's good. And the reason is because this is similar to what was happening to, it's not the
I'm
same.
also guilty of leaving the computer and not turning it off because I'm gonna come right back and I don't.
By the way, your workspace is different than the one we're using, where I know, but I'm trying to click on stuff and it's not reacting to me. Essentials, and I'm gonna reset essentials. And let me do a window. Arrange. Consolidate windows. And sorry, I'm just making it the setup be a little bit. Oh. It's hard. It's not so easy to handle these things when I'm on a like I'm not seeing. It's like you have your tools. Oh, you're in you were in full screen mode, which is why this stuff was happening. Okay. Got it. Now I can make all the tools consolidate. Let me just reset. Let me see if I can do that. Reset it now. Will that help your tools back in? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move this over and make things a bit smaller because you're going to be running into that problem all the time otherwise, which is now you'll never have that issue anymore. Okay. So here's what was happening. Look at every single thing you have open. You have hundreds of things open. I couldn't see them before because of how your set was set up. And so I did this and like now your files are all tiled and you have zillions of open things, which is a little bit what was happening there too. So now I'm going to go back ahead here and I'm going to consolidate windows and now I'm seeing them. Okay, so these are all open. I recommend selecting some and closing them, saving them first and closing them, but now I'm going to find the one that you're working on again, which is, I don't know, where's the one that you're working on? First of all, we can close Rocket. We don't need to open it yet, so I'm going to close that. It's not responding to me. Can you go find the one we're working on? Maybe it's the untitled, one of the two untitled ones. You have 6 untitled, 7 untitled, you have a 10. Okay. And then the next one, close that one. We don't need this one. And if you don't need that one, close that one. And then the next one. Here. Okay. Okay, don't move your mouse again. So let's see if it's me. See if I can do this. No, myself. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on gradient options. You were doing you had the radial option still going, that one. Okay. And so I wanted you to change it to the linear one. And now the tools from here, you can handle them from here. But again, why are you not getting the tools, which is what was happening to her? There, we got it back. Now, after getting that to work and getting rid of all the other stuff, put it linear, there's your tool. Okay, just had to clean up some stuff because there was just a lot going on. All right. Save and close everything else that you don't need, and then keep working.
Okay.
Elisa, what happened when you opened up again?
Thank you.
It worked. Thank you so much. I won't repeat the same mistake.
Yeah, no, that's good because in fact, two of you guys had the same thing happening at the same time or similar enough. And that hopefully taught everyone else that it really does make a difference. Okay. Being, I call it housekeeping. Keeping your computers clean helps it function better. In my Mac classes, I always teach people how when you overload your computer, weird still things start happening. But if I'm just teaching you Illustrator, I don't know what else is happening until I see the whole computer, but that isn't really this class. So if you need to guys know how to do better with your computers, truly, even if you've had a Mac forever, there's so much I can teach you about how to use it. So I'm not trying to get students for my Mac class. I'm trying to help you with your class, with your work. Okay. Here we go. And those of you who have PCs, take the PC classes, of course, which I'm not teaching right now, but there's other people who teach them. Okay. Now, when one thing I haven't shown you yet because I was working with helping is that with this gradient tool, once you have it turned on, now you can change the direction. I can click and drag and say I want it to go from here to here. So this is solid yellow, this is solid red, and the gradient happens there. Or I can click and drag and move it around and say I want it there, or I want it there, or I want it like that. So I'm just clicking and dragging and moving this line around, and that's where the gradient happens. Now, if you ever just want to move, and this is what there's so many things to click on that I didn't necessarily want to tell Vera, but if you put your mouse just on the line, not when it says a plus, then you can click and drag it, and you just drag the line without making it longer or shorter. You just drag it up and down because you wanted it about like that. Or you just redrag, click and drag to exactly where you want. But if you have it, and that's the distance you want it to have, you can also grab it and move it like that, okay? Now, I'm gonna, hopefully everyone is doing this, making different playful things. Again, my gradients are always disgusting because I'm just wanting to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. But hopefully you guys have been able to build a gradient that you actually enjoy. Let me see if I change a color or two here to get it to be a little bit less jarring. Go ahead and double click this one and choose another tone of blue. And I'm gonna get rid of this one. So I have a little bit more transition. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit less eyesore-ish right now. Okay, now, all right. If I want this to be a little bit longer now from end to end, I can just click and drag so it goes from end to end. All right. Say that this is the gradient that I want, that I love. You don't need to have a ton of color points. You can just do a straight gradient, you know, green to orange without having a ton, and it'll usually be smoother. But you could also have a ton of different ones. Okay, so how do I save this? Okay, because if I go to swatches, as we've done before, and click on a plus sign. Oh, well, that's new. In the past, you couldn't save it this way. Okay, so green, blue, green, yellow. Actually, it should have been yellow, green, blue, but and it's saved. Okay, in the past, you had to save it a different way. So that's interesting. Okay, good. I was able to save it the regular way we saved colors the other day. Let me go ahead now and change the gradient
Can you repeat how you saved it?
Yeah, I'm gonna make another one now. So I'm gonna grab this yellow color, change it to bright pink, and change this green to purple. Okay, so now this was completely different. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of that color. So this is a pink to purple gradient. I went over here to the fill box and just pressed on the plus sign. We had to do it a different way before, but notice over here, I click on the plus sign. Oh. Purple, pink. Say okay. And there it appeared. And something is happening here that I told you I'd teach you next time about global colors. This one was not global, this one is. I'm gonna double click for now and not make it global because I'm gonna teach you today about globals, but if you saw yours appear with a little white triangle, double click again and turn the global off. When the global is on, it has a white triangle. And for now, I want them to not be global. Okay, so there I've saved my two gradients. And the whole point of saving it is that if I now make another box, I should be able to color it with the gradient that I had before, which was this one. Okay. Now, just because I colored it with this gradient, it's not stuck in stone. As long as I grab my gradient tools, I can keep modifying it. Okay. I can keep saying that I want it to be more of that, less of that, or whatever it is that I want that one to be. Okay. And if I did change it and modify it, then I need to go and resave the gradient. Okay, because right now the gradient that I have saved as a swatch has a light blue in between, and I've just taken it off. If that's so, then I need to go in and make a new gradient. Okay, and call this one blue to yellow or something. Okay, all right. So now I've made three different gradients. One is slightly different than the other. Here's one, and here's the other, because this one has that light blue in the middle, and this is the other. But if I didn't save a new swatch, then the next time I filled with that gradient, it would be with the light blue. All right, Chila.
Yes. Can you go over again the how to change the gradient line? Because when I click on it, it's only going left and right, making it smaller and bigger.
Okay, so when I select, let me go closer. Here's the gradient tool, and all I'm doing is clicking and dragging. I'm just clicking and dragging.
Oh, okay. So you're not like moving an existing one, you're making a new one and setting it where you want.
There, and I want to see a bit of it, click and drag there. So at some point, remember when Vera had started sharing hers, she had her gradient box like kind of way over there or something like that. And I was like, okay, it's just too hard to explain. Let me just start from zero. It's because if you can drag over there, you left the gradient there. I'm only seeing the blue point of it.
Right.
Orange and her stuff was over there. That's
Okay. Thank you.
So just reset it by clicking and dragging over here. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? Give me a yes if you feel that you have command of your, I'm clicking yes, if you have command of your gradients. Yes, Stan, your hand was up.
No, I do. Here's
Oh, it
I'm
was
okay.
it was a yes, not a hand up. Okay, I thought I saw a hand up. All right, cool. Eugenia, how's it going over there? Who else isn't Shelly? Eugenia, how are you guys doing with your gradients?
I'm good. I got mine down.
Okay, perfect. Now, when we started, I said, hold on the third kind of gradient. So let me go ahead and grab one of these. I'm going to copy paste. I'm going to go somewhere else here and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so now I'm gonna mess up with this gradient a bit. So when I go over here to edit gradient, you already remember I told you you can do radial. And when you go to radial and you have that tool again, then it's kind of becomes more like you can do that, or you can do that, or you can do this, or you can do, you know, center it and stuff like that. But more importantly, and this is kind of fun, is you can also change its direction and its shape. So hold on, let me put it in the middle. What if I want it to not be round? I can do it with my hands-on tools here, or I can do it here by the numbers. I can go over here and say, I don't want it to be 100% round. I want it to be maybe 50%. And it turns into an oval. See that? So I went to these tools here and made it into an oval, or I could just do it from here. I can use these tools that I have that appear when I drag it again, right? And I'm making it, and then I can grab it from here to make it bigger or smaller, or from here to make it more like an oval, and then I make it big, and it becomes more like a planet. Let me give this a bright, let me add another color to this, and give it like a bright ring, a little bright yellow ring in the middle or something like that, okay? Because I'm adding color in the middle. And so from this line, I can make it even skinnier, which is the black choice. And from this one, I make it bigger or smaller. I change the shape this way to this one. I can also, when I see it doing this little, when I touch it and I see it rotate, then I rotate it. I'm rotating it. When I touch the black line, I make it more or less oval shaped. And when I click this black one, I can make it bigger or smaller. So give all that a try. And if you don't like doing it by hand, you can go over here with the gradient tools and begin to type in these numbers. And this is what's giving you, you know, equivalencies to that. This is the one that changes the position, the angle right there. And then this is the one that changes the size of the oval. Okay, or the percentage in which it's showing, which now it's much bigger. So play around either with the numbers here or with these shapes that are appearing over there, which now it's so big. It's break it down again. Okay. All right, questions, and if this worked, let me clear your answers. Clear all feedback if this worked and you're getting what you want. And then again, the colors still work like before. You can keep, you know, I'm gonna add another color spot here when I get the plus sign. And I'm gonna leave this one and make this one be a deep blue, like it's going into the sky. So this is all just a gradient. Let's have a bit more transition. Drag this one up. Oh, I didn't do that. I'm gonna grab it from there. All right. How's it going? If I want to save this one, and I say save, and I call this one, I don't know, planet rings, for example. And I say, okay, then the next time I make a box, I can switch from that gradient to this gradient. What happened to this gradient? I had just saved that one. And now I clicked on it to use it again. And what happened to this gradient is that it resets to just being in the center. Okay. So I saved it from this box. I went over here, I said new gradient, called it Saturn rings or whatever I called it. But then when I made a new box to fill into that box, I get, so I'm gonna switch to another one or another one and back to this one, I get it rounded. So you need to go back to the numbers and flip things around if you want to get like angles or if you want to get those things in. Okay. So the basic gradient, colors and type stay, but all the angles and all the cute stuff you need to recreate. All right. I don't see any hands up. So does this mean that this is working for everyone? I'm going to go ahead and save here. I've been telling everyone to save, and I haven't saved yet.
Can you do it again? Because I don't,
Let me,
something very strange.
let me give me a second that I'm not seeing my Illustrator files in here. I guess I haven't yet. I'm going to make a folder. I haven't used this one yet for, I guess that I've been showing you stuff in the other computer all this time, so I don't have that set up. Okay, gradients. All right, everyone save and close a bunch of other stuff. Have one open, like, you know, but not 25 things. I do want you to have one open. In fact, I would like you to have, because I'm going to show you some stuff about transferring colors now. So if you do have another one from last week, please do open that one. But I don't necessarily want you to have a ton open. And I think I have this one, which is from the
Deanna,
other
before you go
class.
to the next one, I do have a gradient question because my edit gradient button doesn't show up on my screen. It does on yours.
All right, I'm gonna stop my share. Go ahead and share your screen.
You see here?
Hold on. I need to move you to this other monitor so I can see you bigger. Oh, by the way, yes, post this on Padlet. Post on Padlet, everyone, especially if you're one of the ones that hasn't posted much, because maybe you're not sure how to post. Please ask me, because I'm seeing some people not posting. All right. All right. Tell me again, what is it that you need that you're not seeing?
So the edit gradient button that shows up on yours does not show up on mine.
Yeah.
If you go over here, it's not there either. This comes up.
Yeah.
Is that all to it there is to edit the gradient?
That's the angle and the percentage. Yeah. But you're saying that the other one,
The words that say edit gradient,
oh,
they
do
don't
my
show up.
words say edit gradient? You're right. You have 2024. I have
Yeah.
2024 on this one. Panels show sometimes differently based on size. I don't know why your edit gradient doesn't work versus mine. You have some other things open, like up on top, you have the text to gradients still vector to, okay, show me your mouse. Where's your mouse? Okay, go all the way to your panels.
Panels where?
There.
Left side?
The panels would be where you see that little rocket ship, the little hamburger. No, Illustrator panels on the right, appearance, all of that, those are your panels. Okay, now from the hamburger, move up, and keep going up, keep going up. One more, there. Collapse this one by going to that little arrow on the left side and collapse it. And I was just seeing if you gave it more space, if it would say edit gradient, but it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. Things open up differently on different. It's okay, because when I click on edit gradient, it just gives me that exact. No, it gives me those lines. So how do you make yours edit?
That's all right. If it still works, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I always wonder, sometimes, have I shown you the Creative Cloud document? I think I was showing it yesterday in class. I showed the Creative Cloud yesterday to people. The Creative Cloud is the app that is accompanies all of the Adobe stuff. And you can see in the Creative Cloud, which is where someone who is opening up said that's where they open it from. You don't need to open a whole nother app to open Illustrator all the time. You just need the icon, but it's fine. But notice if you go to updates, for example, it'll tell you if there's more updates. And if you go to the apps and you click on, say, Illustrator on this thing and go to versions, there's so many different versions, and you might be in Illustrator 2.83, 28.3, and someone else is on 28.0 or 24.4. So we're all on the same 28, but there's enough little tiny distinctions between 0.4, 0.1, point whatever, that it's possible that there's slight differences like that. And so not, you know, they change minute little things like that all the time. So if you want to be up to date, you can go and get the latest one. That said, yesterday I was showing people how not to automatically update everything, because you need to make sure that your computer still can handle it. But anyway, for now, just know that that Creative Cloud app, and when you have some time, not now, go ahead and search for the Creative Cloud app on your computer and open it up, and that from there you can handle all of your different installations and versions and stuff like that. Jill?
Thank you. I forget how you save like that radial gradient I just did. I can't find where it.
Go to your appearance panel and click on the fill button, and then click on the plus sign. Let's share my screen again.
Okay,
my
you
screen
got it.
again.
You want me to share it?
No.
Okay.
I was going to share mine just to demo it again. When it's not a mistake or a problem that I need to see your screen to see what the problem is, then I can just demo it again. When something's not working, that's not working right, then I need to see it to figure out how to help you, right? But no, that was just a demo of them. So now at this point this is the document I have. I have one more page. I hope you still have one more page. If you don't have one more page, then go ahead and make another artboard, not page, artboard, because I want to show you now the freeform gradient. The one that I said, hold on that one, wait a minute until I'm ready. So there we go. So hi, Cameron, how are you?
Hello.
Go ahead and open a blank file and make a rectangle and start on whatever we're starting right now. And then you can go back and see the rest of this. But just everyone, let's make a rectangle. First of all, let's go and choose, no, not whatever weird fill that we have. Make sure you're not selecting anything. So deselect, so there's nothing selected. And let's just pull out a new one and then clean it up by going to any old color for a second. Just, I want to make sure that you don't have any of the memories of all these other ones that we've been doing. And the best way to do that is to just kind of get rid of a gradient. And now I'm going to Command and Control 0. So I'm in this gradient. It's a big box this time that I've made. And now let's go back to one of your saved gradients. I haven't shown you yet about the transparency. I'm sorry. Remember I showed you this one was a transparency? I've shown you everything except for that. So let's head back. I'm going to show you transparency first, and then I'm going to go back to teaching you about the freeform. So select this blue to white, which again, if you remember correctly, if you don't see your background is actually truly going to transparent, not to a color, right? So I just wanted to remind you about that because it isn't white. So let's turn our gradient tools onto that one. And what's happening here is that the color, you can not only choose the tone of the color, which is what I'm doing here, right? Maybe I'm going to go change it to a red or whatever. But up here, they have a choice of opacity, and I just chose a bright red. Look at the red I chose, and look at, I can barely see it. And it's because I have the opacity of my red down to absolute 0. See this opacity there? 0. If I put it to 100%, I'm going blue to red. But if I'm moving this color to be 0, then the transition between this and that, hello, opacity 0, then the transition has to go all the way to nothing. So then you only get a bit of that color. You see that? If I have a bit more of a chance to have more of it or less. Again, I'm choosing a color where the gradient is horrible. You have to be careful. Red and blue give you gray in the middle. It's kind of disgusting. But I want it to be pretty clear. If you're doing, you know, a light blue and a dark blue, you might not even notice the difference, right? So don't choose a similar color for this. Go for something really really nasty and contrasty, which, as I was saying, would be like a red and a blue just don't go well together right now in a gradient. And then you can really see that transition happening. Okay. So now instead, I'm going to go 100% on my red, and then I'm going to go choose my blue, double click, and now I'm going to go 0% on my blue. And there you go. I went 0% on my blue. I barely see any blue. Even if I move this little triangle back and forth, it takes quite a while. Now, if I add another color in here, so I'm going to add another color stop in here and double click on that and make this one green. Then I do have a full on green, a full on red, and then the blue that's going down to 0. I want us to zoom out a little bit and now check this by putting it on top of some other gradient to make sure that you truly are going to 0, because it's a little bit hard to see. And the red is truly 100%. You really do have solid there. Go to the gradient again. Let me move this a little bit further so I have more solid stuff. You do have solid, but then you go all the way to 0. You don't need to go all the way to 0. You could just do a gradient that goes all the way to, let me get the gradient tool again. You can make this guy go, maybe instead of 0%, you can make it go to 50%, right? So it's transparent, but it's not 0. And how do I know it's transparent? Put it on something. You'll see it is transparent. It just doesn't go to 0. So it's not completely to nothing, right? So you can choose what transparency your gradient has. Each one of your stops have. You just don't see it at all when it's 0, but the rest of the times you'll see it, but you're still giving it a lack of opacity. The red is 100% opaque, but this blue was 50% transparent. And so the transparency gradates slowly upwards through the green, in fact, because see how some of the green is also transparent, and it's just because it's slowly gearing up to 100%. Right, so I'm actually, just to keep this as a sample, I'm going to duplicate one of these to have them underneath. Let me give it a more contrasting gradient underneath it. You can see that this is truly happening. And then if you want the gradient to go from like this direction to that, or click here to there, and then the gradient's going in a different direction, okay? Or up to down, and down to up. But in this case, you wouldn't see that the gradient is happening, so I'm just going to go with it. And if I want more solid, I just need to make it fall further in so that there's more solid. All right. Questions? Do I see any hands up? Nope. Someone had just joined us, and I said, Cameron, what I just did is based on stuff that people already learned today. So don't worry. For now, when I was about to start on something new and then I went back to do this, now we're going to start on that new thing. Okay, so now you'll be able to follow through with us. Right now, I was just kind of riffing on something I'd already taught. Okay. No questions? It's working for everyone? Grab that last one you just made, which in my case goes to 50% transparency. Go to the fill, to the fill options, get in the plus, and call this one, I don't know, red to 50% blue, for example. Let's describe it a little bit. And then I have some green in the middle. You can't be too exact, but that way when I hover over this, if I put my mouse and just hover, I see it says red to 50% blue, planet rings, blue to yellow, purple, pink, green, blue, yellow. I have named these, and these are all the ones I've been making. All right. At this point, I would like a good old screen grab, but please make sure that at least one of them has the tools turned on so that I can see, you know, these different tools set up. And yeah, do a screen. I'm noticing that in my case, when I try to do a screenshot with the tool set up, the tools disappear. Interesting. Yeah. The moment I click on my things to do a shortcut, that tool disappears because it needs that Okay, well then you can't give me the tools and that's fine. Maybe in the copy you can. All right, give me a screenshot of these guys. Pretty cool colors, right? And then, I mean, this in itself, this little combo here, it looks so pretty. It's like all I did was put some things together and it already is looking kind of cute. Now you see why I had you give me a tiny little hairline. It was mainly so that you would see this kind of thing, this transparency, okay? Over here, I had taken it off, but if I give it a little blue line transparency, a light blue line transparency, and I make it a teasy hairline, that just helps for the purpose of noticing that it does go to 0. But then it doesn't necessarily look like it's transparent, which is why I had you guys take it off. So I'm just reminding you about all this stuff, and then now it truly seems to fade away. All right. I want to show you the freeform gradient, and I at least ran out of artboards, so I'm going to go ahead and click on. To do this from here, you need to have nothing selected. If nothing selected, the artboard tools appear over here. Otherwise, you need to go to that artboard tool. But over here, I'm going to say edit artboards and just going to plus sign this so that I get a new identical artboard. I don't have to draw it out. And then once I go back to my V or selection tool, then I'm ready to move on. You could also just go over there and draw another artboard. I don't really care how you do it. Just get me another artboard just by going over here to the edit artboards. You can have the plus sign, and then you can either say exit or you can hit escape. And then there you go. There you have your two. Remember, when you use this tool, they start appearing in a row that way, which I don't really care right now. So I just wanted one more artboard. So there we go. All right. I don't see hands up, so I'm going to move on to the final type of gradient. Let's make a big old box. And now I'm going to do Command or Control 0 to get to that box. Then I'm going to go to my gradients, and I am going to this time, it's filled with whatever gradient it's filled, I don't care. And then of the 3 choices, the linear, the radial, or the freeform, let's click on the freeform. And notice how different the colors are. This is the gradient I started with, and the radial maintains it. But when I go to freeform, okay, what's that? That's not the colors I just had, right? All right. If everyone's here, let me begin to show you what to do. In this case, there's no line. These are your color spots. I'm going to bring this color spot in like that and see how I'm getting more orange. This one over here, it's probably white. If I want it not to be white, I double click on it just like before and I give it a color. I'm going to make it be a yellow. How about this one? This one is a dark blue. This one is like a pale blue. But if I double click and get this one a green, it's going to flash, but there you go. What if I want to make a new one? Instead of clicking on an existing one, if I just click in the middle of nowhere, see how I'm a plus sign under me? Boom. I just dropped a new one. I double click, give it another color. So you can have as many points as you want. You can move them out as much as you want. And then you can say, no, I want the blue one there. I want the orange one here. I want the purple one there. And I want the green one there. So you move them around to your heart's content. And then you have the same tools we had before, this little circle here. When I'm hovering over it, I could go ahead and make this one bigger. Grab that little circle and make it bigger, okay, or smaller. So that changes the relationship between all of the colors. Move it out of the way. I want a bit more of this one, which is kind of hiding, so I'm going to move the green one out of the way. All right, so there we go. That's what we're doing here. We're making literally a freeform gradient. I'm going to move these out of the way a little bit. So if there's questions about how to make it, raise your hands. If it's working, and Cameron, this is the part where you can catch up and do it with us because you know, all you need to know is when you click on freeform gradient, you end up having all of these tools And to get those spots again, if you lost them, click on the gradient tool over here on the left side of the space bar, and you start getting these dots. To change the color of the dot, you double click, choose a different color, go for purple this time. And I'm gonna go with like purples and pinks.
Deanna, I'm having trouble getting the multiple color bar you have.
This one,
Yes. I only
so
get,
I'm just double click. Double click on the spot.
I double click on the bar.
On the
I
little
found it. I found it. Thank you.
color spot, on the color spot. Okay, and then I'm gonna make this one be intense. Purple, that's purple, so you can move these around if you know how to handle those, but sometimes these are much harder to handle or to know how to handle than to just click over here and kind of choose a color this way. But you can also change your colors this way. It's just a whole different ball of wax. Okay, so now I have my freeform. Okay, say that I love this and I want it and I want to keep it. Just like we did before. Go to my fill. Whoopsie daisy. The plus sign is not available. The freeform gradient cannot be saved as a swatch. So if you make a freeform gradient and you love it, the only way to say repeat it somewhere else is by copying and pasting it, right? And then moving it to another artboard and then keep modifying it, right? But you can't,
Seems to be available for me.
no, you can't save this gradient, okay? This one, you can then, and I ran out of artboards and I said I didn't, you can copy it and then grab the gradient tools and turn it into something else if you want, right? And make it be, go into the greens and oranges. So I'm turning it into a very different gradient. But again, I can't save this one either. Okay. So now these gradients are stuck being one-timers. Okay. Freeform gradients. Vera.
It's trouble with the multiple color bar. When I try it again, I back to a previous.
Go ahead and stop the share so I can help you. Go ahead and share your screen. Everyone else, if you made a couple of cool freeform gradients, give me a yes. And now I'm going to start talking also about how we make these colors hang in there or not when we go to other files. Remember at the beginning I showed you this file doesn't stay. All right. First of all, let's see. Turn it into a freeform gradient first, which you're not. So over there, go to the gradients panel on the far right. And the third box to the right, that's the freeform gradient.
Okay, how do I get those?
Hold on, you need to, hold on. You need to click on the, you're not in freeform gradient mode. So go back to where your mouse, when I said go to the 1, 2, 3, far right panel, far right panel. Down, 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 down. Okay, there, that, click there. That's freeform gradient. Okay, now this is a freeform gradient and you have 4 points. You have that point, that point, that point, and that point. Okay, that's where your color spots are. These are called color spots. Go ahead and double click on one of them. And go ahead and choose it to be a different color.
A different color, okay. So then I go back to it and, oh,
you just moved it, but it's okay, let go and you'll see it just moved, that's all.
okay, so I have to go back to freeform.
No, go and double click on the next one.
And pick a different color, okay.
Pick a different color, and now you can move it, or you can keep changing their colors by double clicking on them. Now you're still working on that first one. If you want to work on the orange one, you have to double click the orange one. You're still working on the one that's green. So double click on the orange one. Now you're working, no, you see how it still says green? Double click there, double click.
Here?
On the orange spot. Okay, try and see if you can change it. It seemed to me that it wasn't, yeah, there it says orange. Now you're on the orange one. So now choose another color or make it more intense or do whatever you want to do with that one. And the other thing you can do, other than just move them around, other than just changing their colors, is to actually move it around. Now, grab the spot now, make it a different color. Yeah, and now grab the spot and you can just drag it up or drag it in or drag it out. No, not double clicking. I mean, if you want to change the color, that's fine. Now I'm just showing you, grab it and drag it. Okay. There you go. It's all working. So
Thank you.
cool. You're welcome.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions? Nope. All right. We're going to take our break. I have the bad news. I emailed you. Good for you. I've been teaching you basically 45 minutes more each week than it was supposed to. And no one called me on it until the other day when someone, and I'm not going to call her name so that no one, blames her. But yeah, someone reminded me that I was going over time because of course they couldn't stay till the end. And it makes sense. You're not supposed to stay till the end if I'm going over time. I was just had it wrong in my calendar. So I kept going. So this class will now finish at 12:50. Okay. So we have passed the midpoint. My alarm is still alarming me at the old midpoint. So it's time to take a break. Let's take our 15 minutes. When we come back, we'll keep working on some fun stuff. So what time is it? 11:12. Can someone figure out 15? That's 15 and 15 would be 30. Minus 5. 27. Is that 15 minutes? Be back by 11:27. And if that's not right, please correct me. And if that's right, then that's the time. Is that 15-ish?
It's close enough.
Close enough. I tell you, that's why I do graphics and not math. And when I do math and numbers, I do it with Excel, which I always teach you how to do. Because my kid, on the other hand, he's like the kind that you give him any mathematical stuff and in 2 seconds he has it in his brain. I'm like, where did you get that brain? Because it's certainly not from me. All right. See you guys in 15 minutes. All right, and back. If you are the kind of person who turns on your videos, please turn them on. And if you don't, then give me a yes, so I can make sure that you are around. There's a live body at the end of the, sounds so bad to say live body. Make sure that there's someone on the other side, a warm body. How about that? A warm body on the other side of the screen. Give me a yes if I don't see you. And other than that, let's start with something new. I'm my changing the amount of time I have confuses a little bit the issue of what I wanted to do. So I'm torn between A or B right now as to what to do. But as I think about it, okay, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to finish with color. I wanted to get you doing some things, you know how I brought down the rocket, but I don't think we'll have time to do that. And I did want to finish the whole color conversation and then be done with it. So let's continue with color, just because it makes more sense with the time that's left. And then we will have much more time for the other project next week. All right, so if you have the file from last week that has other stuff, go for it, open that, or, you know, since I don't have it because on this computer I don't have it, let's just go for new. So let's all just create it. Let's keep this one open. Keep this one open. And
We are seeing you.
Yeah, I'm sharing right now. Give me a second. Keep this one open and create a new file. Okay, Command N, Control N, or File New. And we'll just go for the good old 4 5 by 5 inches. All right. So the file that I don't have here is the one that last week we had made our own colors. And by the way, thank you for all this beautiful gradients that you guys have been posting. Awesome. Oh, Mooney, I hadn't seen this one. That's new. Thank you. Oh, cutie pie. Look at the little kitty cat right there. That's awesome. Right, so I'm looking at the assignments that we did last week where we created new colors. So not only the colors that existed in the default swatch palette, but new colors that you made. This olive green doesn't exist, you know, this little purple lavender doesn't think. So we all did that. We saved them as new swatches. The thing is, and if you have that file to open it, go for it. As I said, I have it in my other computer, but if you have that file, go for it. I'm going to just make one to just to have one new color. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a new color to this one. Remind you that the way I show you 3 ways to do it. I'm just going to this box over here. I'm going to make a color that I guess I would assume, you know, that the teal kind of colors don't exist. So that's a good one to make and show that it is new. So I've made that color and then I go over here, plus sign, call it something. Let me call it teal. And I've been telling you, turn off global. And there we go. So now I have made this. And yes, last week we made a few more, but at least I have one right now. New color that I've made. Let me go ahead and save this one. If you, let's save this one and call this one more color. Just keep working on color. And where did I put my Illustrator folder? I thought I had just made a new Illustrator folder. Yeah, there. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I have the gradients. You guys have more colors. I have one more color. But the important thing is that when you try to look at these gradients, and if you now try to bring in the gradients over here, then boohoo, these gradients that you just made don't appear over here, and this color that you made in this file don't appear over there. So there's like so many different ways to transfer colors from one to the other. The easiest way, and this is a bit of a cheat sheet, is just to copy and paste. This is very limited, but since we don't have any way to, right now, to make this gradient, and the other one, if this other file happens to be available and I can open it, then, got it, thank you, Lisa. Then just copy one of these, just one, go to the new place and paste. And it brought it in. It didn't save it as a gradient. Sorry, it didn't, over here it was saved as a gradient. I didn't have to save it as a gradient here. But just by bringing it in as a saved gradient, there it is. That gradient is there, so that if I now wanted to color this thing with that, I can. Okay? I'm gonna go back to having it be the teal color. But that is because it already existed as a gradient. If I bring the freeform one over, copy and then paste and put it in here, that it's not a swatch. When I go in there, I still don't have a swatch for it. Okay, things that, and I'm gonna delete, I don't want this one here, just showing you that stuff that doesn't have a swatch doesn't turn into a swatch over here, okay? But it was already an existing swatch, I copied it, now it's a swatch that I can keep reusing, okay. And by the way, it saves in the mode. Notice how it came over red. The swatch was saved yellow to blue, but the one I copied, I had already transferred before I had saved the swatch. And so this one's blue to yellow. But if I were to want to change it, it's the same swatch, but it just gives me the original way. I'll just go in there and I'll flip it right. Never mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this one back to be the teal one. And get rid of this one. All right. So here's the that's the easiest way to transfer a swatch. And so I don't want to do this right now, but if I were to select all of these, copy all at once, paste, throw them in here, the swatches stay. Right now I'm going to just do it with one. I'm done. I don't need this for this project. But if I get rid of this box, guess what? The swatch stayed. Okay, so I basically pasted it in. Okay, I'm going to paste this one and copy this one. Paste it in. The swatch. Why did this swatch not? How funny. Oh, I think this one I had modified and not saved. Okay, let's do one that does have a saved swatch. I think I did save this swatch. Yeah, I did save this swatch. Copy this one, move it over and paste it. There's the swatch. Okay, see that I had a gradient that I hadn't saved a swatch for and I brought it, it didn't appear as a swatch. So you need to have had it as a swatch. And that's it. Now I can delete it. And once again, I have to select something with color for this to appear. There it is. I don't need the element. I just needed the color. Okay, so that's plan A. It's the simplest way to transfer a color that existed as a swatch. If the color didn't exist as a swatch and I made it here and I really want it, such as I just discovered this does exist as a swatch, I can also say I made a very special tone of elephant gray or whatever. But I'd never saved it. Once I paste it, I can still make it a swatch here, right? Call it whatever, new swatch, I'm gonna just say that. And so I can make it and then still delete it and that new swatch stayed. So what I'm trying to say is once you paste something in, at that point, if it existed as a swatch, it shows up as a swatch, or I make it a swatch and that element can disappear and the swatch exists. I can disappear this teal right now. And the next time I make something, just because that exists, it's still there. Okay, now, what if the file where you made this is not in your computer anymore? What if someone else made this file and not you, and you already trashed it, deleted it, it got corrupted? What if you're trying to get to all the different colors that you guys have that we made last week, a whole set of colors, but you've been 4 years ago, and that file is saved somewhere in some place, it exists, but you can't copy paste is what I'm saying, right? Because that's great if you can copy paste, fine. But a lot of times we can't copy paste. So then how do we transfer colors? So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, there's two other ways to transfer colors. There's the way we've done it for 250 years, meaning it has nothing to do with the cloud. It's got to do with your computer. Okay. That one, let me make at least one other new color that didn't exist before. There, that's a color that I don't think exists. Yeah, that one doesn't exist in my palette. Say, okay, I need at least, I know you guys have more from the exercise last week, but I don't. So I'm going to call this one a bluish gray. Okay, so I have my teal and my bluish gray. I'm going to get rid of the strokes on these because it always, when I'm talking color, having strokes bugs me. Okay, so now I have two new colors. What if these two new colors are crucial to my project? I have decided that these are the colors for my logo. I've shown it to my client, or if I'm my own client, I've decided these are the colors my logo is going to have. So I'm going to need these two colors every time I make a new document. For all the different projects I'm going to make, these colors need to be in every document. Does that make sense? So the one way to do that, the old way to do that would be to save these in my computer. So let's go ahead and do that. That said, and I don't need to save them. I can just go here and just select them. So one thing I can do, see, this is where my teal was, and this is where my bluish ones. So I can decide to save these two, and I have the gradients in the middle. I can say shift, click, shift, sorry, not shift, click, command, click, so that I select these two. Or if you're on a PC, it would be control. So go ahead and say, click, command, click on 2 or 3 different things that you've created that didn't exist before. So I'm going to do that to the 2 new colors plus to one of the gradients. So I've see the little white line. So again, if you go click, shift, click, you select everything that's in between. But if you go click command for the Mac or control for the PC, then you can select separate things, right? So what I want us to do right now is to click command or control and select at least 3 of all the new things that we've been creating. Then I don't need to make a new group of it, but I will, just because, to show you how. I'm going to click on this little folder, not on the plus sign, that's for a new swatch, this little folder, and I'm going to make a new color group. And I'm going to call this one Deanna's logo, for example. I don't know, I'm just inventing. Say that these are the colors that I've decided are going to be. Oh, that's true. Sorry, groups cannot contain gradients. So it's okay. It'll be a group with just the 2 colors. So see how it didn't bring the gradient over. Actually, I'm glad I demonstrated that. So now you'll see that that's so that you can't bring in the 2 colors. You can't bring in patterns or gradients into groups. All right. Which is why you guys remember how when we went to colors last week to the libraries, you would find entire like folders here for color sets. But when we went instead to like patterns, basic graphics, they're not in a group. They are loose. Remember that these are loose. It's because you can't put patterns and dots and stuff in a group. Anyway, just wanted to remind you of that. But over and gradients, they're all loose and individual because they don't go into this little group. Okay, so now this has become my logo colors for it, right? So one thing I can do right now is I can save, and this is the, as I said, the old fashioned way to do this. And I can go click and then all the way to the top, say save swatches. Okay, so once again, to the same place that I showed you last week. When you click, let me just close my layers so it's not in the way. When you click on this and you go to the libraries, this is where we went last week. These are all the ones that the Illustrator remembers. At the very top, I can save swatches. Now notice that I have my group selected. Okay, if I click away, just the group and then all of them. If you click on the folder, all the stuff in that group gets selected. I'm just selecting that little group. When I say save swatches, it'll say, okay, what do you want to call it? Let me call this one Deanna's logo. Let me call it Summer 2024 because I probably have done this before and I probably have other named things called Deanna's logo. All right, so now notice if you're on a Mac or on a PC, if you can see where this has been saved into a place called swatches, and you didn't create this, it's the place inside of the Illustrator file. Like if I go to my inside of all these folders, if you know how this means, into the user library of the Illustrator folder, there's a place called swatches. So don't change because it's exactly where it needs to be for the Illustrator to find them. It's a very hidden in place in the middle of the bowels of your computer. That's where you're saving it to, and say save. Okay. Now, remember that I had this selected. Did it ask me at any point what swatches to save? Not really, right? I'm going to just answer myself. No, not really. Let's go ahead and make a new file, Command N or Control N, and then say create. And now say that I want to color this with those new swatches, but they're not here. I'm going to wait till everyone does this. First of all, we saved the swatches. Okay, and we did that by going over here and saying save swatches. We gave it a name. Do not change the location of it. That's the first set. This is what we've done forever. And it involves being in my same computer, which is why it's limited, because now people work from different computers and want to share things with other people. But this still is a good way to save it into your own computer. Then make a Command N or Control N or File New and make a new document and go ahead and make a shape that you want to fill with those new colors. And since they're not here, where do you get them from? And I could have made them 10 years ago. I go to the libraries and I go to other libraries. Oh, no, it should have said user defined. Hold on. Did I not say save? What should be saying down here is user defined. Let me save it again. Maybe I said cancel because no, there it is. Anna's logo Summer AI. I'm going to let this one be called more color save. Okay, so you should be able to go down here and have user defined, which is grayed out. Is it grayed out for you guys too? Huh. My 2023 crashed. And I know that I showed this in 2023 before. I'm wondering if this in 2024. That's right. Okay, user defined means you go pick up your swatches from there. Remember, I just said this is what we've done for 25 years. So it's possible that they are maybe resetting that tool into using it only the other way that I was about to teach you, but I don't know. Let me for a second. I'm in my other computer, which I just recovered from a crash. Let me see if here I can pick up user defined. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know now. I'm gonna set my share and show you in my other computer. If I go to, let me just make this to the library, see how my user defined is available. Oh, you can't see it because it's not sharing my entire screen. Let me share my entire screen. So if I go over here at the very bottom, my user defined is gray, and here I can pick up colors that I've defined in the past. I'm going to pick up my flowers. I probably saved this 2 years ago in here, and here it comes up. But before I continue with this, did that not work for anyone? Is the user defined not working for anyone, or did it work for some people? If the user defined was black and you were able to pick it up, give me a yes. If you're like, no idea what you're talking about, give me a no. For some reason in mine,
Mine's grayed out on mine.
Yeah, if it's grayed out like in mine, then that is weird because this has been around forever and ever and ever. So
Yeah.
that's why I said on 2023 it's working, on my 2024 it's not.
Can I say something?
now- Yeah.
On the 2024, I have two different user defined. The one above Visibone 2 is black, and the one at the above other library is grayed out. So I can choose one, but not the other.
Oh, okay, thank you. You're so right. I'm gonna stop my share. Thank you for pointing that out. See, you guys, I've always looked for it in the bottom and it didn't occur to me to look at it for somewhere. Thank you. So that's strange, but there we go. I'm glad you pointed it out. So what she was saying, it's there. I just went straight to the bottom and I said, it's not there, but look, there it is. And then there's these two. So for some reason, since it's always been at the bottom, I just went there, but there it is. I'm glad there it is. This is the one that I just saved. Okay, well, thanks so much for pointing that out, Chayla, because I just said it's not working. All right, so I'm gonna bring up Diana's logo Summer. So hopefully, with that explanation, everyone should be able to turn their nose to a yes. So once again, I'm gonna clear out feedback. And now that with Chayla's showing us that it is there, no matter the version, give me a yes if it worked this time. And I know that some people have hands up, but there we go. I'm going to click on it first. And here it is. This is what's come up. And instead of just saving the two colors that I wanted to save, it resaved the entire default swatches, including the ones that I had not put in a group, plus the two different groups. So it's like these became Diana's swatches. It didn't just save my two logo colors. See that? So there's a way to get around that. But right now I'm going to show you that when you save it thinking you were saving those two, you're still getting the entire thing. Which if you had a ton of different things saved and created in this file, that might not be necessarily a problem. But it's something that happens when you save the entire palette. You are truly saving the entire palette of colors. Moni, oh, you just said yeah. Still, I'm seeing a no. How can I help?
Just that when I say save the swatches, because I'm on VDI, I don't know quite,
Oh,
or maybe I don't.
When you said save the swatches, just say save, because wherever they go is inside of the bowels of the computer. What I don't know, since you're in the school computer, if it's going to allow you to save inside of the computer's bowels, so to say. So if it doesn't work,
I
then
save it on Google Drive, or does it get saved? I mean, do I select where?
yeah, go ahead and save it to your Google Drive, to my drive. Normally I would say never change it because that just sits there, but you could just save it as a file to my drive, and then when you kind of open it up, it'll ask you where it is and you'll have to go navigate to my drive to select it. Okay,
Do I put it in Illustrator? Just doesn't
yeah,
make
put it in your Illustrator file.
Illustrator exercises, like
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and it saves as a .swf file or something like that, which is a swatch.
.ai. Okay.
Okay. So now, so here it is. I brought this over, which is all of my swatches. And thus, remember last time when we wanted, let me just remind you a little bit of how this worked. I'm going to go to like, I don't know, art history, Middle Ages. If I wanted to transfer this library Middle Ages over here, I had to go here and just like double click. And when I went over here, no, there, I hate my mouse, I told you, right? And then there it is, I click on it, it transferred, see that? Remember that? If I wanted to transfer this one, I had to click on it there. And then it came over here. That's just reminder from last week. So now what I have is Diana's logo Summer. So I can go over here and just click on that. And I go over here and just those two saved, transferred. Okay, so even though the whole thing got saved, I can just click on the two that I wanted. And if I want the gradients, which you couldn't make a group with, I'll have to click on that one time, and then one time, and then one time. And that's all it takes to have transferred them here. So these are the three that I just saved from, I don't know, Middle Ages, like I did last week. And then this is the one that I created that if I hover over, it says Diana's logo. Okay. And then in order to transfer patterns like we did last time with like dots, remember that we had to go to a pattern graphic, go back to dots. We had to click on it for it to transfer, and it transferred by that same token in the Diana's logo, just by clicking on the gradients. And I go over here, they've transferred. So this is just how to transfer from your own computer files that you've saved. There's a way to save this, by the way, without all the other stuff, but I'm going to go and show you now how to save into the library so that this doesn't matter so much anyway, because the way we normally save colors nowadays is actually in the library, not this library, because this is also a library. That's what's called a library. This is the Swatch Libraries menu, but I'm talking now about the online Adobe Cloud Library, which is something I'm about to teach you about because I have not mentioned it before. So I'm going to close this little box. I know that I have all these colors here. Before I continue, did that work? Let me clear your answers. Were you able to transfer into your new file? Like this one is completely new. Looking at the time, making sure I don't.
I'll have to watch the recording because as you worked and I tried to work, it didn't work for me to do it at the same time.
Do you want to share and I'll just show it to you? Okay. That's why I'm here on the recording. I'm not there. Quick share and yeah.
When I went to the library,
had you saved your colors?
But I don't.
Okay, go to the little library down at the bottom, the little library icon. Yeah, click on that. Go down to user defined. In your case, I don't see it at all. Oh, maybe you didn't define it. Go to save swatches. Maybe you haven't defined it yet. Go up to the very, very top and save your swatch. Could be that you just didn't save it yet. Call it Vera's colors or whatever. And just say Vera and then say save. Just save. Okay. Now go to the next file, to your untitled file, the one where you want to bring those colors in. Go to the note, go up to the tab and switch to another document, because that's the whole point. You're trying to open this and bring them. Now, this is 2 years later. The other file, who knows where it is, but you know that you made a really good save of your colors for your logo. And so now you go to this new file, okay? And let's go to the swatches and now go down to the bottom left little library. And now go way down
there.
Here's user. You just hadn't defined it yet. You had to save it. Now that you've saved it, there it is, Vera's swatches. Click on it. Now, all the swatches that you saved appear. Bring it, make it a little bit bigger so you see the bottom ones. Yeah, drag it down a little bit. Yeah, and now go ahead and click on the group. Use down at the bottom where you saved the group. Click on the folder. Save it. Select there. Now, doing that has been transferred to your current palette. So now go back up to your current palette where it says fill. You can close all these. It doesn't matter anymore. And yeah, close those. And now select your element, or the appearance doesn't show up. Select your thing you want to color. Go to your fill. And then there it is. Down at the bottom, there's Vera's colors. You see them?
You mean
the last group, down three, you have a green. No, that one. That's Vera's colors. If you hover over the folder, you'll see that it says, it should say Vera's color. No, other color. You saved it in a different color. So no, don't double click on that. Just there's your color. So you can use those colors. You can color it with those 3 colors that you brought over from your other one. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully for anyone who also wasn't able to do it, that clarified stuff. If I have yeses, that's good. Now, share my screen. All right. So that's good, because as long as you keep working on your own computer, or even if when you upgrade to another computer, that file stays, when you upgrade to another Illustrator version, that file stays with Illustrator now. Or if you're worried, you can save it into a folder of your own. You save in your documents called all my color swatches, so that you can, keep copying them and transferring them into your saved hard drives, whatever. That's where you keep colors that are important that you've made that define a project. And again, the only reason you would do this is if you've got something that you want to keep repeating. For example, I design books or annual reports or brochures, and then 2 years later they want another one. I'll just open up the colors and use the same colors, unless what they want is a change of colors, and then you create new colors or whatever. But you just basically many times want to keep working on stuff that you have. All right. Now, how do we do it now if I want it not only in my computer? A lot of people have a computer at home, a computer at work, or they want to share this file with their co-op, their other designer, or with a web designer or something else, and you want to just share things to with other people. It's much easier if instead of having it on your computer, you do this online. And the libraries that we've been talking about, that I've been saying again and again, that I'll tell you about, is right there. Here's the libraries panel. Now, when I go to my libraries panel, you will see something very different than what you are seeing. When you go to libraries panel, if you've never used it, what you will see is nothing. You will see something here that says something like start a library or something like that. Since I can't show you that because I already have a library, can someone else share their screen right now so that I can show you what to do if you've never used those libraries, how to begin one? Someone who, when you clicked on libraries, it doesn't have anything in it. Can someone volunteer to share their screen? People who've been in my class before have already used it, so it has to be something who's new to my class.
I can.
Someone who's new to my. Okay, go for it. Share your screen. If you're in my Photoshop, Illustrator, Digital Design Technique, since I use it all over, people who've taken my classes before just already have it. All right, so head over to the libraries. Oh, you're in the properties, not in the libraries. Let's head over. So since it's missing, go up to the word window and click down and look for the word libraries. There it is. And there you go. There's the libraries. And it takes a second because this is connecting to the internet, to that Adobe cloud that you are paying for. And it's not resolving. You're on Zoom and it's going really slowly. Hello. Let me stop your share. Once it comes up, go ahead and share with me again, because when you're sharing the screen, it's even slower. Because this what it's going is, you have an account in Adobe, it has like 20 gigabytes of space for your stuff. And where we're gonna put these colors is in that 20 gigabyte. Does anyone else see it right now, what I'm saying, that it says start a library, begin? Does anyone else have that I can share? Because if you don't have that, Odessa, you haven't been in my classes before, you probably have it. Mickey, someone who
Mine
hasn't
only
used
says
it.
explore libraries.
I have it because it's
Yeah,
my
go
new
for it.
computer.
Okay, then go for it, share your screen. Thank you, Kenya. Okay, so this is what happens when you don't have a library set up yet. It says create new library, your library, and explore libraries. So once you already have libraries created, this will disappear, which is happening to me. So I couldn't share this portion of it. Let me do a screenshot, because the next time I ask for this and someone doesn't, no one shares, at least I can do a little screenshot here. Okay, so so basically where you are right now is basically the Adobe Cloud, your Adobe Cloud account. That's what the library has. And Adobe has for you existing libraries. That's what Explore Libraries has. They have a lot of libraries of colors, of shapes, of, you know how we went to the user-defined colors the other day, not to the user, to the Middle Ages or pop art and all that. Those exist in the Illustrator program, but if you go to Explore Libraries, there's way more, right? Just to show you that, can you, maybe I'll let you guys explore libraries later, because right now I want to show you right now how you make one your own. So go ahead and say create new library. See where there's a plus sign? create new library, and call this one, I don't know, Illustrator class or something. It's like you're creating a folder for your stuff and say create. If you're making a new document, like you're making now your end of the year calendar, you would create a new library, stuff like that. So you put these in there. All right, so here's your library. Now, if you look at the very top, see how it says Illustrator class? You have named it, you're inside of it, but there's nothing in it yet. So now, go ahead and go to one of those blocks, get the pink one, the purple one, go to your document, doesn't matter where. And now drag it into this empty gray space of this panel, not to the word, just in the just into the gray, yeah, there, and let go. What you just did right now is copied the artwork. It's different than the color, okay? In this case, the artwork that got copied, now go and put in that, that gradient that's a bit more distinctive because it's clearly yours and not, grab that gradient that you have on the top, on the first artboard, and now drag that one in. Keep it, go a little bit. Huh. Does it not let a gradient go in? Just like it doesn't let you save?
Maybe gradients on Go.
Should do gradients. I've already saved mine, so. Huh. Okay. The thing is that you're trying to save the art with a gradient, it doesn't work. Let me do the following. It's not letting the gradient go in, so hold on. No, don't keep doing it because it won't work. At the very bottom of your screen, almost at the dock, so another way to bring things, so let me explain. What we just brought in was the artwork. So say that you just made a little bear and you drag the whole bear in here, a little bear will appear that you've saved, or a logo, or your zebras, or whatever shape you've created. So if you have one that you've created somewhere, in her case, her artwork was a square rectangle, which is boring, but that's why it kind of looks like it's a color, but it's an artwork piece. So just to show you, if you just wanted to save the color, go to the pink one this time so that it's a bit different. Go above to the pink or red. Yeah, click that one. So now we don't want to, no, don't. Now I'm going to show you something different. I don't want to save the artwork now. What I want is to save the color. Okay, so drag yourself back down. Just select it. Okay. Okay. Now go back into the library, and at the very, very bottom of the library, and you guys, I want you to be doing this, there's a little plus sign. Click on the plus, and it's going to ask you, what are you trying to save? The fill color or the stroke color? You see that? So go ahead and say that you want to save the fill color. So now, instead of saying artwork, over there it says hashtag EDIE whatever 7, which is the hexadecimal name of a color, which I believe when I showed you the color models, did I demonstrate that in this class, the color model naming systems? Someone who's never taken this class before, I think I went through it, right? No one's saying yes. Can someone who's never taken this class before,
Yes. Yeah, you talked about it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so on the left side, I saved a color. On the right side, I saved a piece of artwork, which happens to have that color. All right, that's in my library. What's the good about this? If right now I were to go to another computer at work or a client's house, and I'm using an office, and I'm using their Illustrator, and I try to go to my libraries, I'm in their Illustrator, and the libraries that you have there are theirs. So I wouldn't be able to get my colors from there unless I switch to my own account. But if I'm in another computer, but I could actually share this with that other account. I could do that. I could say share all the colors from this document to someone else. But in my case, if I just go from one computer to the other, then I can, or from one file to the other. So now let's go back to the file that says Untitled 6 at the very top. The one that did not have this color. All right, so now I can do two things. I can either make a new box. It doesn't matter that's in the gray. Make a new box. Okay, so now I can color it by clicking on that pink no. Go to the libraries, go to the libraries. Yeah, so now this color was from the other document. It's not here. So now click on that pink that you just put in the library. That's the artwork. Click on the color, that one, yeah. And now I have managed to bring that special color that I made without, you know, just because it's there. I can open 20 documents and over there I'll have the colors. On the other hand, if I click on the artwork, which is the purple one, go click on the artwork and see how that thing isn't turning purple because it's not a color, it's a piece of artwork. What you can do with the artwork is you can drag it out. So if this was a little bear instead of a box, drag it out and put it on your document and let go. And there it is. Now click on it and let it go. It's like placing it, okay? So now if you had just brought in a logo that you need to use another document or the little animals you guys have been creating, that's what artwork means. It happens to be a boring artwork in the sense that it's just a box, but the color allowed me to color something and the artwork is a piece. So anyone who has an actual piece of artwork that you put in there, you can see that a little bit better. Thank you so much for demonstrating this, Eugenia. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna now share with my screen, which already has libraries. Okay, so anyone who already completed a library, please start doing screenshots, but here we go. I have libraries from before. And as you can see, I have, this is artworks, this is a whole color theme, this is just colors, this is a whole vector file. You can have so many different things. So you didn't see me design this, yet I'm about to grab, because I saved it in my library another time in another Illustrator class where I created this one. I'm gonna just drag it out and boom. This is what I mean by a saved artwork. I made this flower in another class when I was teaching flowers, and I just dragged it into the library. And now, months later or years later, I don't know, I designed this one in a class at some point over the last few years. Since I put it in the library, I can just drag it out in here, and there it is. So this is typical that you'll do of repetitive patterns, repetitive things like logos and stuff like that. If instead I just wanted to color something with a color that I used in some other class, I will go over here where I have colors saved. And for example, I'll save it and I'll paint it with that color, which are colors that I created for some other document. I can also save fonts. We haven't done much font work yet, but there's a font I can save. So there's all these different things I could choose to save. Or there's actual photographs. This is an actual photograph. I can go ahead and put that in here. And I've just, hold on, I can just drag this in here. And this is an actual picture from Illustrator. Doesn't matter because if you don't have photos, but what I'm saying is all these elements, or I could have text that's already written. So if this is text that I've already written, and I can also put it here. So I'm just bringing things that I have in my library, some from other jobs or from other, in this case, classes that I've taught. But as you can see, I can bring in a ready-made text, a ready-made art, a ready-made photo, or actual just a palette of colors, or just if all I wanted to do is change the font to another font, which is like this one, I click on that and see how it changed font. So I'm also changing font. So it's amazing. I can put so much stuff in here. I can drag out, I think I have vector files over here that I can drag out, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the beauty of having everything in your library. Okay, I was able to demonstrate this only because I have saved this way in the past. Okay, so if it says text, it's actually the text itself. So if I click on this text and bring it out, and I'm going to put it on top of this so you can see it, that's what I brought in. If instead what I wanted to do was change its font, I've saved it as a font. The Chelsea Market is the name of this font. I click there and I will then change that font. And if I instead want to bring in the whole artwork, I just use it to my heart's content. Okay. This one is so dark that it's hard to see, but this was a, let me give it a different color so you guys can see it better. There we go. All right. So if you have opened a place where you made your stars or your animals, all the things that you've been saving, grab one of those and drag it into your library, and then go to this new untitled where we're testing out libraries, and then just pull it out. And that's way you're transferred it. That library isn't there only if you open the file. Any from now on, it'll be in your library. If you ever have stuff in your library that you go, well, I don't need that anymore, and it's taking up space, and you don't want it, you can also delete it from there. You can select this color that if you don't want it anymore, or this color, and then just hit this little trash can, or I think you can even right click. No, you can't. Can you delete it from here? Yeah, you can right click and delete from there, or you can just trash it. Now, one more thing you can do is you can add it to your color library. So let me look for another color that's very distinctive. I don't have it. So this color is clearly not in my swatches. If I go to my properties and grab this, clearly this is not a color that exists in my swatches, this kind of palish green. So beyond just coloring that, I can just right click on it and have it added to my color swatches. So now when I go to my document, there it is. It's been brought in as a color swatch. If it was a swatch, I can make it again a swatch, and that little palish green was a swatch that I had saved in my libraries. Okay, so there's so many different ways to use this as a source for your materials. There you go. That's the color libraries, not color, all libraries conversation. If this is working for you, give me a yes. If not, raise your hand or give me a no. Yes, Stan?
When you brought over either the artwork of the flower or the color from the library, do they automatically transfer into your colors in the new file, or do you have to add them?
Yeah, you have to put them in, and you have to tell what part you want to save. Let me see if I have, this computer doesn't have many other files in here, but let me see. Let me open up let me share again. Okay, so I just opened up a file, another file that I had. This computer doesn't have many Illustrator files because I don't usually demo with this one, but here we go. We have this little thing. Now this is a vector file. It's something created in Illustrator, and it happens to be a color. If I look at my properties, and I'm going to go ahead and move my libraries out so you can see both at the same time when I show properties and libraries, because otherwise it's kind of hard to show you everything. Here, I'm going to put my libraries here next to this. So it's got a fill color. It's got a fill color that I haven't talked to you global yet. We're going to move into that in a minute, but it's got a fill color. It also has a shape. It's a birdie shape. So it's a piece of artwork. So when I want to put this in my library, now I'm going to bring my libraries over. I can choose what is it that I'm saving. If I just drag it in, what I've saved is the artwork. Like if I just go like this and just drag it and drop it, I've just saved the artwork. See over there? That's it. It's coming in a second. It'll take a minute. There it is. And I could right click and rename it and call it, bird for, oh, I didn't, sorry. There, I can call it, I'm using the wrong keyboard. I'm using the other computer's keyboard. The right keyboard. Okay, bird, whatever. Oh, bird. Okay, I just said bird with you. All right. So I could just have that, which means if I just drag it in, for sure, what I did is drag artwork. Okay. But if instead I wanted to choose, it's just the color that I wanted, then instead of dragging it in, I could go and click on this little plus that's at the very bottom and tell it, I just want the color. or I want the graphic, or I want both. So first I'm gonna do them separately. I just wanted the color, fill. So that comes in as a color. Then I can say, well, I just want the graphic. And then the graphic comes in, but it happens to have the same color. So this is, you know, the artwork. Or if I say add all, then it gives me both the artwork and the color. So now I have it repeated because I've done it 3 times. But if I drag it in, I only get the artwork. If I say add all, it gives me both color and graphic. If this has had a stroke, let me add a stroke to it now. Oh, hold on. Let me get my document to fit in again, sorry. Let me put the libraries out here again. So if this item had had a stroke, let me give it a stroke, a big fat ugly stroke so we can really see it. Okay, so if instead what I had wanted is to add the stroke, I could go to the bottom of this window, which right now I need to make it smaller. I just messed with the, open it up again because it needs to fit. Libraries. Why is it? There we go. So file libraries. If I go in and I just put it in here again so that it's easier to handle. So if I go to the bottom of my libraries, if I click on plus, now it gives me also the choice to put in a stroke. And then that's the color for the stroke. Okay. If I wanted to go and save this graphic, this one, which is a gradient where we just made, we saved it as a swatch. When I want to go plus, it only lets me choose the stroke color or the graphic. It does not save gradients. Okay. So if I say at all, it's going to give me a black stroke because I gave it a black stroke originally, and it's going to treat this as a graphic, which is fine. I'll put it in there as a graphic, and when I go to my next document, I'll go ahead and drop it in as a graphic. If I do that, guess what's going to happen? Now I can just go to my properties and save this as a swatch again. So it kind of works anyway. Does that make sense? So I'm going to delete that, copy, cancel. I'm going to not save any of that because I don't want to keep all those bizarre colors on it. But basically I deleted, I closed my files, and yet if I go to my libraries, there's the bird still, and I have it a few times. So I'm going to right click and delete one of them of each because I don't want them 3 times. Delete and delete. I only want the bird and the color there one time. There we go. All right. So yeah. Share my, let me look at you guys. If that worked, if everyone was able to bring one of your art pieces that you've been making, your stars, your animals, whatever you've been working on. And if you've been able to distinguish about bringing in just the artwork or the graphic or the file. And then when you have things in nice little groups, it's all nice and comfy. I can close my digital design techniques group, my Illustrator class, my Photoshop class. I have all these different classes, my Discover New Zealand. But these are the ones I just dropped in without a group. So I can say, well, this one, and I'm going to hold the shift, and this one, and this one, and this one. Whatever, I'm just going to select 3 of them. These 2 colors belong together, so I can make a little group here and call this one, I don't know, logo colors, for example. So now I have another little group that is a color, colors, right? So now they're not just loose, and I can keep calling this certain things and make my little group. So every time I go here, Illustrator class, and here's things I've saved in my Illustrator class. And Digital Design Techniques class, here's things I've saved in that one, and so on and so forth. So you can be really comfortable. That said, you can go into your, I have even more. That's just a big old all class libraries, but then I have a ton more of libraries of other stuff that I do for my work and stuff like that. But in my class libraries is where I have these sample ones that I'm using. Okay. I've noticed that I'm sharing my entire screen instead of just Illustrator. So that means that you see everything much smaller. So let me go back here. So hopefully, since I ended up here, please, everyone, show me screenshots of your libraries. I only see Odessa having done that. Oh, well, Liliana, that's also a library. Oh, those are library. I was seeing just colors and I thought it was libraries, but that is a post about libraries. Okay. Cool. So there we go. Let me save this one where I've been doing stuff. I'm gonna call this one save and we'll call it a library sample. Library use sample. And right now it's trying to save back in the swatches. So if you do have a folder you've been saving into, well, make sure you save it back into your Illustrator folder. Not if you just saved your swatches, it'll default to save it into that swatches and you'll never find it. Okay. All right. All good? Yep. I'm looking around. I'm not seeing any more questions. Okay, so let's let me see again. Let me see if I have any. Let's open. I wanted to open something with colors, and I have so few here. Let me see here. I have something that's shapes and stars. Nah, doesn't have any colors. This is where I first did the shapes and stars. Let me undo. Okay, what I'm gonna do, remember this morning I had you guys download the Rocket. Those of you who came a bit late, you might not know, but I had everyone download a file from the class files. So if you head over to the class files, I had this Rocket is what I had everyone download. So you go into the shared drives, Illustrator Drive Rocket, just click on that and download it. That's for people who came in later and don't have it yet. That's what we're about to bring in. And so we're going to start this now, and you have the week to complete this project. So I'm going to start a new file, Command N, and create. I'm torn because I was going to do this in class for how much time I have left. We don't have time to complete this project here, but those of you who can complete it during the week, that's good. And what I'll do is if we need to, we'll bring another one in next week. So if everyone has this empty and if you've downloaded it, and if you haven't downloaded it yet, don't worry, go ahead and, oh, I'm just noticing you said my libraries aren't working, Chayla, but is that an old message? Yeah, I see a message in the chat, but okay. So we're gonna go place this file. We're gonna bring in that Rocket that we just downloaded, which is probably in your downloads folder. So we're gonna say file place, which people who are in my InDesign class know that file place is Command D. Illustrator and InDesign have a different place shortcut. So say file place or Shift Control P or Shift Command P, and then head over to your downloads folder, and you should see the Rocket that you just downloaded somewhere enough that you can say place. And then we can, if I single click, it's going to come in humongous. So I don't want to do that. What I want to do is when I say file place, I want to click my mouse in the corner of this and drag down until it comes out kind of as big as it can. And there we go. That's our placed image. Now I'm going to put it up on top. This is maybe this could be a kid's invitation, my birthday party or something like that, doesn't matter. And I'm going to zoom in. All right. So there's so many things I can have us do or practice, but with everything I've talked to you for now, you can create this. Some of you have made even more complicated things already, but basically I've already shown you how to do gradients, how to do shapes, how to do, this is the back, look at the sky background, it's a gradient, that whole box, etc., etc. But what this does really well, it has something that has to do with a shape builder that we used last week. That's how to make these clouds. And remember I told you that you can make a shape and then modify it. So I'm going to go ahead and begin demoing a few of these pieces that are not like obvious shapes. I'm gonna demo some of these things to get you started. And then my goal is that with all your tools that you recreate this yourself. Okay, recreate it on your own document. I'm gonna Command S. I'm gonna save this already so I don't lose it. And I'm gonna call
Excuse
this
me,
one-
Diana, I didn't, my shortcut Command D didn't work, and I don't see under file the place.
No, it's not Command D. It's not Command D. It's Command Shift P or
Oh,
File
oh, oh.
Place.
Okay.
I'm noticing that I have
Ah,
two
got
different
it.
illustrators. Okay. Cool. So let's take the cloud. I'm not going to make them white because you can't see them. I'm going to start by making a circle. And let's just make a perfect circle. And I'm going to make them to just begin making them. I'm going to make them yellow, orange, something very visible. And I'm going to take the stroke away. Okay. So now I'm going to zoom in. And actually not so far in. I want you to be able to see one of the clouds there. Okay. So now I'm going to try to make that cloud. I'm going to make a biggish circle. I'm going to now copy this. And the best way to copy it is Option and drag. Okay. And basically what I'm trying to do right now is to copy the top outline. And this might need to be a bit of a smaller circle so that it pops out a little bit more over there. Then I'm going to copy another one. So I'm pressing Option or Alt key again, and I'm doing that. And by the way, you don't need to make exactly the same circle, the same cloud. You can get a bit creative, but right now my goal is to have you learn how to do this exact thing, and then you guys can play. And then one more. So I basically have put in 4 or 5 little circles, slightly different sizes in here. Okay. Trying to imitate this big outline of it. So I'm going to wait till everyone kind of does that, and then I'll tell you how to continue. I'm only making it orange because white on white I wouldn't see, but later when I have a good background, I can keep working in white. But right now I'm just trying to get the cloud going. So these are 4 different circles of slightly different sizes, depending on what I want. And if I just look at the, it's about, okay. Give me a yes if that worked for you. Now, instead of me just doing it, and ideally someone who hasn't taken this class before, can you, with everything we've learned, can you kind of maybe try to guess at how we are going to end up with that shape? And when I say someone hasn't taken the class before, because I really, not that I don't want you guys to learn, I want to make sure that it's someone who is just learned it to see how well or not well I've kind of taught you, because you might not remember, in which case it's me not having taught you something very well. So I'm not testing you, I'm kind of testing how well I've taught you something. Anyone want to give me an idea? Talk me through making this into that cloud?
Curve tool, like extend the circles across.
Okay. I heard one word loud and a lot of really tiny.
Oh,
can you
sorry.
say that?
Curve
Yeah.
tool, like extend like 1 or 2 of the circles across.
Nope. I mean, hey, give it a try. You could have just made it, right? With a curvature tool, you could just draw that. That's fine. I'm just saying, but you can. That's another way. There's so many ways to do everything in Illustrator. But
Yeah.
based on having these circles, some people are like, oh, I don't know how to draw. You don't need to draw an Illustrator if you know how to use the shapes. And with that, and anyone else want to venture a try? Someone who maybe has done the class and does know what
could
I could do?
Combine it with the shape tool and then cut it out
Yeah,
bottom.
thank you. Thank you. And that is someone who hasn't taken the class. So yay, I'm glad. Select them all first. And then we're gonna go to that shape builder tool and unite them into one shape. Perfect. Then how did you said it right, but I want you to explain it. What do I do to, get that flat background now?
Do like a square to cut off the bottom and then delete it from the shape.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm gonna make a rectangle that's a bit bigger than that. And just so you can clearly see what's happening, I'm gonna give it a different color, not because you need to give it a different color. But there you go. So everyone make a rectangle that's a bit longer than the shape. Okay. Now I'm gonna drag it over here. Can you see how what's left over of the orange cloud is kind of that shape now? I'm gonna select, now there's two elements. This is one element and this is one element now. So I select both elements. And I select the shape builder tool again. What should I do to get rid of this? What do I need to press? Because I don't want to join this. This is not my goal, right? So I need to do something to this tool. What button do I need to press to give me?
On PC.
The minus, it has to appear.
I hold the Alt or Option key, gives me the minus. And then I just drag across all that stuff. And lo and behold, there's my cloud. Actually, that one has a bit more rounded corners depending on where you put them, but let me move it down a little bit more first. I'm gonna have to round those corners out by creating them rounded, but anyway. So shape builder, and now get rid of that, and boom. So yesterday or last class, someone said, well, what's the point of this? Using the tool, the shape builder, to minus and this is a perfect example of making a shape that, yeah, it's a simple one. You could have done it with the curvature tool. You have to have some control, but could you have done that? And then that, anyway, I have to move it over there. I have to do that and that. I mean, right now, I would have to actually, I'm much better at using the pen tool. Curvature tool is new for me. With the pen tool, I could easily create this shape, but even for me using this, it would not be that simple. Right,
Oh,
to
sorry.
create
That's
this.
not what I meant. The
Plan
curve.
B would be to make it by drawing it. I haven't shown you that there's a tool where you can draw yet, but there is a tool where you can actually draw. There's this thing called the blob brush. There's a couple of other tools that I haven't shown you where you can make stuff. So I could have kind of done something like this, and I have my mouse on my freaking touchpad, and this is like impossible. So trust me, I'm showing you this, but this is not in any way, shape, or form a good cloud because I'm using a finger on a touchpad and there's no way. So had I done this more correctly, there we go. I could have done that, right? So there's so many ways to do that. But this is if I'm trying to imitate this look, which is very precise, it's not a hand-drawn cloud, this is the best way to get your perfect, precise hand-drawn cloud. Perfect circles. Because even the curvature tool wouldn't have given me perfect circles. I would have had to make a circle, another circle, and overlap them. Because this, with the curvature tool, is very hard to define. All right, so good job. I taught you last week about making different elements, joining them, and then with the same tool, getting rid of parts of it to end up with something else. If you finished and you created your cloud and your cloud is looking very cloudish, then yay. Give me a yes, I mean to say. Give me a yes if your cloud is looking very cloud-ish, or very cloudish as these clouds look, at least.
So
Right.
Deanna, when you finish drawing a cloud by hand, just like the one you did, is it then considered a shape? What is it considered in your layers?
Call them objects or elements. If I go into my layers, because I reset my layers and put them in here again, let me move them up because I had to reset this the other day. There we go. If I open my layers, I have one thing, which is the link, and then this is just called a path. Because remember, the path is what defines the thing. It doesn't call it shape or element, it calls it a path. We tend to call them elements or objects or shapes. It
So the
doesn't matter,
one
but
you
the
just
technical-
drew is called an element. You erased it.
This one?
No, you just drew it with a brush.
Oh, the one I drew, it doesn't matter if I do it, it's a compound path. This is a path, it's a compound path. Had I filled it in, and I haven't taught you compound paths yet, but had I just filled it in, then it's a path. But since there's some space, it's a compound path. So forget the names, it doesn't matter. I haven't taught you compound paths yet. It's just, any shape in the layer shows up as a path. If you want to, you can double click and call it cloud. It doesn't know what you drew. So it just gives you the generic word path. I can draw a dog and it'll say path. I call it dog or cloud, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put this little cloud over there. And in fact, this might be a good place to say, hey, I'm going to make a folder, make a little group here called Rocket, right? And in that rocket, I'm gonna go ahead and put this little artwork. And there you go. One of my elements is there. Of course, it's orange, so probably for the future I might want to have it yellow, but there you go. I put in a piece of artwork in there. It's good to have like different pieces of art that I'm going to reuse because I'm going to have to make many little clouds and put them in there. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just because I'm reminding you how to use the libraries now that we know. But the first thing we need to do down here is maybe make a background to imitate this blue gradient. And the reason I want to make it now is because I want to show you this is a perfect example of when you might want to lock something. So I'm going to create a box that's about yay big because I don't need to go all the way to the bottom because the bottom won't be there. Go to my properties and I'm going to make a gradient. It's usually easier to start with the gradient that exists than to start from scratch. If I can also go to the gradient tool over here and discover that I click and drag and there's no gradient, it's because, you know, you're like desperately trying to do it. And, you know, in the gradient tool, I'm doing it, there's no gradient. So fill it with an existing gradient. And I'm going to go, instead of the orange one that has so many colors, I'm just going to go to a simple one, the black and white, for example. Right? Because then it's very easy to go over here, change the order of it from top to bottom. Trying to imitate this one here. And then I'll double click on this one and I'll try to make this blue, right? That light blue and darkish blue, I'm sorry. Doesn't need to be exact, you guys. And there's a way to get the actual color. But since that is, if that had been a Illustrator, you can get it. But this is a link, it's placed, so I can't just easily pick up that color from nothing. Here's a tool called the eyedropper, and I try to use it on this. It's not working because this here is not an Illustrator file. Let me just show you that if I had been here and I use the eyedropper and from blue, I click on that, I would have picked up the green, see? Goes from blue to green or green to blue. The eyedropper is great, but it needs to be a vector file. This is not a vector file. I placed a pixel-based image to PNG and I can't eyedrop it. I can open it in Photoshop and eyedrop it and then come here and get the same numbers. But right now, I'm going to do my best to imitate it. So I'm going to go back over here and double click on it and maybe move these little guys around a little bit. Looks like I need to put a little bit more green to make it be similar-ish. Oh, that went too far into the green anyway. So on and so forth. You can work on trying to imitate it later. Looks like it's a little bit darker and it doesn't go to white. It goes to a light version of that. Now here I can use this eyedropper to get this same color and then just make it much lighter. Just lighten it up. Okay, even lighter. There we go. Well, that kind of works for that background. I can then modify it and do better. What this means now is that I can bring this guy in and put it on top, right? Ah. What's happening there? I made the orange cloud. Yeah, I made the orange cloud first. So there we go. Layers. Grab the cloud, bring it to the bottom. I want it, if you want, this just says rectangle because it was a rectangle shape. I'm going to double click and call it sky. But now, every time I try to move things around, I'm going to be like moving, and this is going to keep being a mess. So this is the perfect timing to say, I'll never move the rectangle that's the sky anymore. Let me lock the sky between the eyeball where I see it or don't see it. This little guy selects it. This guy right there next to the eyeball locks it. So now I can move this around as much as I want, click and drag, and I'll never touch, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'll never pick that one up anymore, okay? If I ever need to change the color because it wasn't the right color, I can see it's not a color, I have to unlock it, then I can work on it again. But when it's locked, I can't do anything to it. And that's kind of how you work on these elements that have many pieces. You kind of go locking here and there, the ones that are done, so that when you work on something, you only have to work on the pieces that are not done. And now I can make this one white because I finally have a background against which I will see it.
How did you lock it again?
Okay, I went to the layers, so click on your layers tab, if you don't see it go in. And then next to the eyeball, there's a little empty space. When you click on it, a lock appears.
Okay.
Click on it again, the lock disappears. So now I'm going to move a couple of these clouds in place. And if you might notice that these clouds are pretty much identical, they're just smaller and bigger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Go to layers. So yeah, I'm just going to start by making this one, then Option Alt this one, and then Option Alt this one. And then I'm just going to make this one. Hold on the Shift key always to make it be proportional. Hold on the Shift key. If not, you'll distort it if you don't hold on the Shift key. You might not notice, but in this case, these things are absolutely identical. We're going to keep them that way. This one's actually a little bit tiny.
Yeah, I was able to move my cloud in from my library, but now I can't change the color to white. I had a bright yellow in there.
Yeah, because you might have it linked. Good point. If you bring it in from the cloud and just drop it like that, then that is still linked to that, and it's only the orange one. Thanks for mentioning that. So when I try to change its color, it doesn't let me because I made it orange and the thing comes in orange because we put it in as a shape with a color, and so it doesn't let me change it. Let me go back to one of these. I'm going to copy paste. And then I'm going to give it, this time to make sure it's a different one, let me give it a bright pink color, okay? So now I'm going to put the bright pink one in there, but instead of putting it as the actual piece of artwork, I'm going to click over here and it doesn't let me bring in the path. Let me see if I say graphic, if it gives me something that's just a path. Let me see. If I delete that and I grab and put that in there and change its color, nope, it came in the same way. What you need to do probably is embed it, and I haven't shown you embedding. Let me, yeah, I need to embed it. So longer story, don't have the time right now to explain that, but I'm going to, right click and not embed it. No. Okay, I don't have a quick and easy way to show you how to unembed it. So for now, there's an answer to this that my brain isn't giving me right now. There's a way. And I don't know it right now. So for now, keep it whatever white color. I'll remember how to do it by the time we get back. I could image trace it, but that's too much. I want to unlink the image. Okay, I'll have to figure it out. I don't remember how to do the unlinking when it's a piece of artwork.
I can just redraw it.
Yeah, but if you undo, did you lose the one that you had made when you say you need
That
to redraw
bounding
it?
box with the X just stays on it.
Yeah, but the original one that you put in there, what did you do with that one?
It's in there.
Yeah,
It's
so
in
then
the
copy
library.
and color that. But do you still have it in your document, the one that you put in the library?
Yes.
You had to, so if you still have the original one, that's the one you can color, that's okay. I'll give you the answer of how to recolor this one. My brain isn't,
Okay.
I'm forgetting how to.
Thanks.
There's a way and I can't remember. So, cool. So guys, I'm trying to, I gave it to you guys as homework, but I also know that some of you will do it, some of you won't. And then not everyone will finish it because there are some more complexities in there. But I want you guys to start trying. So my request is try to do more. Try to do this cloud, do your best to do the rocket. And this rocket, to do it, you're gonna have to do the same thing we did. Either create the shape with curvature tools and do it all with the curvature tool or the pad tools, or create two circles, intersect them and cut them, you know, and I want to show you how to do that differently. So at least create the background, give me the stars, and maybe we'll work on the just the rocket piece next class. Do your best and do it your way. And then when we get to the class, we might spend a little bit of time doing it in a different way. And then you'll tell me how you built yours, and then we'll move on to a different shapes and a different project next week. But do your best to do it on your own, because unless you do things on your own, you don't really learn your capabilities, okay? So give me some screenshots of what you did accomplish. And officially, class is over, but I am more than happy to answer questions. So save the file, put stuff in the libraries, go ahead and put stuff in the Padlet. And here's the link to the Padlet again, everyone, and put it here again in case someone hasn't done it yet. And yeah. So that's the homework. Do your best to recreate the rocket. Show me your rockets. We'll have questions. We'll work on how different people did it. If there's some specific questions, I'll demo doing it with the way I would prefer to do it. And then we'll continue. You guys are great. Everyone's doing so well. I'm really, really proud of this group. Some of my other classes, I'm struggling. Everyone here is like right on top of it. Not I'm struggling. Some students are struggling. You guys, my Illustrator group is like, yes. And I venture to say it might be because I've been spending an extra 45 minutes each day that I wasn't knowing that I was doing. So you're getting a bit more time to do the right things, but yay. I'm all happy. All right, no more questions?
I have a quick question.
Shelly?
Yeah, I got these boxes, these color boxes,
Oh, yeah.
and they have a ton, like just tons and tons of these cards that have different color combinations, and they use hex codes on them to match. What is that?
Okay, good. Let me share with you with that. And it's so cool because do I have my Pantone library stuff in here? No, I don't. I think I have it in my studio. This is where I teach. It's not same place I work, but I have a couple of these things here that I'll show you. I have a Pantone tabs that is similar, but let me share with you what that is that you've got. And then I kind of talked about it last week, but some of you, if you don't remember, you want to hang in a bit. I'm going to head over here to the color picker. Okay, so I got over here to the left of the color picker. And colors appear in three different, the 4 different color models here. And one of the color models is the one that we've been using, CMYK. So if I describe this color, it's 59 cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are colors of inks. If I'm going to go to print, that's the model I need to use. So 59% of magenta. Did I explain this well in this class? Someone said yes, and so I didn't go on, but I know I did it in the digital sign techniques. You guys who are new to me, did I tell you this in this class last week or the week before? Stan, you're new to my class. Did I say all this before?
You did go over it in part. We went over the CMYK and
there
just
is-
not all the different, like Pantone and all the different systems.
Got it. But I did a bit of this. Okay, so then RGB, if this is in colors of light, it's 80, 20, 20, HSB, hue, saturation, brightness. And then here is your question, Shelley. This is the hexadecimal number. So say that, go ahead and read me read me one of those hexadecimal numbers. Just read it out to me. I'm gonna type it in.
Okay, it's A00026.
Okay. Is that the color that your tab has?
Yeah.
So as much as this is the way people call it on ENCODE. So in my web classes, I teach people, it's called a hexadecimal color. It uses letters from A to F and numbers from 0 to 9. And with the combination of those letters and those numbers, you create a different name. Like this is called, for us, we would call it red. In CMYK, we would call it 24, 100, 89, 21. In RGB, we would call it 160, 038. And in hexadecimal, we would call it A00. It's like 4 different languages to say the same thing, as if I were speaking in French, English, Italian. It all gives me that same result. So depending on where you're going. Now in code, for those of you who've taken or not, no, I don't think anyone here, has anyone here taken my web design classes? Maybe you have, you're probably gone. I teach people basic HTML and CSS. And so when you name a color, you can use RGB. You can say 160, 0, or 38 RGB, and that color shows up. Or the prevalent way is to use the hexadecimal notation for it, okay? And that's what that is. So I have, for example, color indexes and Pantone colors from, and now let me stop here. From, here it is, like process manual. I didn't do global today. Remind me someone that next week I need to explain global. Because this is, for example, a book of process colors, right? And I have a bunch of colors here. And if I go from the top to bottom, I have the combination of CMYK of how many colors of each to create this green or that blue. So what happens is that if you want someone to get exactly the same color as you, and they're across the country or they're even across the office, what you need to do is you need to have, you don't tell them red, pink, or blue, you tell them RGB 20, 40, 30, or you tell them CMYK 20, 40, 37, or you tell them hexadecimal A70026. And when they type that in, that's exactly the color. So that is what that's all about. It's just a different notation. There's a bit more to that as far as color models. Different color models show you a different range of colors, but basically you have a pack that's newish and that's basically for web design. And instead of giving you any of the other numbers, it's just giving you the hexadecimal. Pop in the hexadecimal, like I just did, and then that'll show you what the equivalent to that is in RGB or in CMYK or in HSB, which is hue, saturation, and brightness.
This box is
Okay.
really cool because it actually gives you like a ton of different color combinations that look good together, and then like a photo of what the colors look like together, and it's pretty cool.
Really nice. What
Yeah.
is it? Did you just get
It's
it or buy it? Or?
Yeah, they're called color boxes or something like that. Oh, here it is, the
Okay.
color cube.
Color
There's
cube,
2
okay.
of them. And they're full of
The thing-
cards. They're all cards.
And the thing about these things, having this nearby and those things nearby, really helps. I have another little one here called Color Index, for example, which is a bit similar to your color box, and that it shows you patterns and groups and choices. And this one's a mini version of the book where you can see how well things combine. These are possible colors, and then they show you a little sample of what it would look like, which is a bit, you have a big photo of it so that you can have an idea if you like this color combination, then here's